Hell yeah.
Hmm. So if people see this post, I mean, granted, I think I did change the time. See, I put 2:30 instead of 3, even though it's 3 everywhere else. I was like, oh, StreamYards was 3. You know, it's funny. I did fix my sound situation. Actually, I don't know how
Nice.
to fix that, by the way. So I have that feeling whenever I try to stream or do something. I swear, two things you don't own when you start: cats or different animals. Something just insists on being a sheer asshole who walks underneath your desk.
Yeah. I don't know. Cats are awesome, man. They don't give a fuck.
Yeah, also more funner when you're trying to stream something and you have to tell one to move from a screen just in front of your thing. So again, see, Fallout. I wasn't expecting it till the 19th. They dropped it the 10th. They dropped the whole first season, but I'm only going to be doing an episode at a time because there will be some episodes that can be shoved together. But
Hmm.
for the most part, it should only be done once at a time because every episode's an hour. So, and it's a near full hour. It's like about, it's easy 40 minutes of content. That's one thing you'll notice about it, Gray. One thing
Yeah.
about it is there's a lot packed into the stuff. Like, but then there's we will be covering X-Men 97 episode 5, which I was actually kind of impressed with. But also Fallout also has the woman who's playing the main character in Rebel Moon.
Arguably, it's a better character in this one, but to each their own.
You say it's better.
Well, it felt like there was more depth in this one episode, but perhaps I'm wrong.
I mean, Dane is like, I don't know, technically that's her name. It's like she is that flat cardboard box. I felt at least Rebel Moon had her character more flushed out.
Hmm.
But we'll begin with X-Men 97, episode 5. This episode is very much compared to the called the Red Wedding, or it's basically the breakdown of it of E for Extinction.
Yeah. A couple of people are saying like there's a couple of other elements that they added in there because it's not a one for one. As far as we know, the main
It's
villain
not
from
going
E
to be
for
a one for
Extinction is
one
not.
because they're
Yeah.
no, the Wild
But
are
they are saying that there's, yeah, the Wild Sentinel is definitely the hugest part and also the distinction of, or destruction of Genoa. So, yeah, like
that's
it
E
kind
for
of.
Extinction, quite literally.
Yeah, it makes sense, but I can't remember the other one. But it's kind of a Krakoa era. There's another kind of extinction
They won't
event,
be
and then there
bringing
is
in
the
Krakoa. Krakoa doesn't bring in the.
no. They're just saying like there's a couple of elements of that and a couple elements of the mutant massacre, even though it kind of already happened. But yeah, it definitely seems like it's mainly the E for Extinction one, which is they're doing their own twist on it, and I gotta say, like this was unexpected for me. You know that
Well,
storyline a little bit more.
well,
Did
you
you kind
had
of see
first.
that the second you saw
You had
Genoa?
first
Did you?
E for Extinction, then you had Decimation, then E for Extinction. There's
Mhm.
two big storylines because part of the two, it's like before we get ahead of ourselves, yes, but that is the big one because you kind of knew. Like I had a feeling when they were going to do the Genosha episode, they were going to do E for Extinction.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I guess we saw Genosha one other time, and it was the slave camp, and I think it was season 2, or maybe that was season 1. It really early in the animated
Yeah, it
series.
was really
Uh,
early, but they had no idea. But whenever I'm going to be very honest, whenever Genosha's involved in X Men, you know it's never good because
yeah,
because just for context, because after that, like you're talking most of like people think of it too because there's two different events, Mutant Massacre is a different storyline, but E for Extinction's a really big one that led to most of Genosha and the mutants on Genosha being killed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's the whole thing of like the 16 million dead mutants kind of thing that leads to God, what's the name of the story? Selene and Necrosia. Basically, she can like revive the dead and other people. It's
Yeah, and doesn't it kind of? Well, they made a big deal of saying that Moira. Well, sorry, I guess I'm getting ahead of myself on this one, but
no.
Moira.
Before we
Just
get,
they make a big deal of saying that she's human in this one, where kind of in more of the recent runs, it turns out she does have a mutant power. So it's kind of
but if you're going off
interesting.
the animated series, she doesn't have a power.
Okay, and that makes sense to me. And they kind of made sure to say a line that
They are
definitely made that
not.
seem that.
They are not. See, this is the big deal about this particular, because they are covering officially just up to about 2000s or early 2000s comics. They're not going anywhere beyond that. I mean, E for Extinction's about as latest as I want to say they've gone.
Mm,
But like they're trying to touch on classic X-Men. Because classic
yeah,
X-Men is where they're trying to. They're not trying to
which makes sense to me. They are bringing in a few characters from
they
like the
might
Grant
extend
Morrison
they
era.
might extend to 2010 if
Mm,
we are lucky, because let me see, when is it done? Yeah, no, good God, I feel old. E for Extinction was 2001.
wow. That still feels like a new storyline to me, but goddamn, that being like 23 years ago. Wow. Okay. My bad. Yeah, I was
Ooh.
definitely familiar with the ones a little bit before that one, but damn, that okay, that just made me feel old too, man. Good times. But
That's actually weird.
so there's some
Unless they're saying, let me see before I speak to. So, oh no, I got decimated. No, I got decimation wrong. Decimation was post House of M. So it was
okay.
E for Extinction was, to be fair, uh Decimation's a different storyline. It was literally post House of M, and the basically mutant cast went down to 150.
Yeah, they've kind of done those bottlenecks a couple of times.
Basically, it was
There's a
done for two reasons. Marvel could have a shorter list to write about. It's the same
which makes a lot of
way.
sense.
It's the same way. It was also post House of M, and the idea of no more mutants was a thing. So that became a more of a story at some point. But so this episode's a little different, like compared to last week's episode, because I'm finally starting to see criticism of the pacing of the show. It's very interesting. Like, just some
Which
guy finally put out,
deserved.
like, he didn't hit them on the Goblin Queen thing, like Inferno in 5. He also in that video touched on doing Inferno in 8 minutes as well.
Yeah, and I'm a little I don't know what you want to call it, conflicted on that. We've talked about it before, but I think the Madeline Pryor stuff is really messy. And while I think they didn't give the Goblin Queen like her due, there is a way that you could have tacked on just a little bit more in there, made a reason why she has the powers and everything. But that being said, even with it being so abridged and them not explaining a whole bunch and not really going into like any sort of pact with a demon or the devil, I don't know. I like this more than the comics one. It kind of makes sense to me, and it's a little bit less messy. So
Um,
that abridgment I kind of dig, but the abridgment of the stories for last week,
it's
the
taken for
Motendo and Life Death, I hate that abridgment. So I
the
totally condone his
the
criticism of that.
it should have been bigger.
I would have liked it to be.
I
It
know
seems like there's more you could have
I
gone
know a
into.
lot of comics people just have simply avoided talking about it because the concept right. I think even Blurred and Carter last week both ignored the concept of abridgment. And what's the funny part about it is he is actually a black, like, people need to be in the forefront of it. Dane's not going to give an actual fuck about it because Dane's a casual. Oh, Cocoa is good. Oh, I have 2 gay mothers now. Go eat one, Dane. Dane basically is like the guy he does. Him and that 40K poser that is Morgan. By the way, I can no longer play Age of Sigmar because they canceled my army. I'm sorry. They canceled a portion of your Sigmarines? That's a joke for people who, if they know what AOS is. Okay. Best way I can tell you is when they blew up the old world, they made Age of Sigmar. Then here's what GW did. They made the equivalent to fantasy. They call them Sigmarines. You know what Space Marines, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so when you look at it, right? Stormcast Eternals. All right. So Stormcast Eternals. They have the poster boys clearly of Age of Sigmar. And this is where he goes, they canceled my Stormcast Eternals. All right. Sorry. People just leave. I'll show this before we get back. It's a little tangent. It bothers me when these posers come in and get mad. So this is what we call Sigmarines.
Fair enough.
And posers in 40K and Age of Sigmar are a little mad that some of this range got canceled, even though they are the poster children. Do you see how they look like? Do you see how they look like Space Marines? Who knows? Posers are very sad people. It's don't get me started. No, but a lot of the thing in the lore, right, is so what they're trying to touch upon is probably the early 2000s comics. So
I think so. They brought in a couple of cameo, not just a couple. Like when it shows Genosha, like we see so many different mutants. So
you
many
don't
different,
see Glob.
Cameos.
And it's funny that you see Glob. You see, I'll bring this up. Not this part. She's a nothing burger.
Well, I thought it was kind of cute. Like in the comics, she does date Beast.
They're establishing a little bit of the new X-Men. This is Pixie.
Mm-hmm.
Right. This is Glob.
And then I can't remember who's the one that can turn into the parrot, because that's also her right above. She's about to land on Leech, and then she'd become the human form or whatever. I know I've seen that.
They also show the elk girl who was exiled from Krakoa for murdering people.
Yeah.
The Asian girl who was in the Krakoa era that was the eco-terrorist, all because she found a bag suffocating a turtle that washed up on Krakoa.
And they had her on a wanted poster as well, like in the first one. And I think she was on a fashion poster as well. So they've kind of done a few cameos of these kind of newer mutants without truly introducing them. And you get to see Glob and Pixie a few different times. We get a cameo from Nightcrawler, which I haven't seen Nightcrawler forever, and they got his powers down so well. It looks so beautiful with his teleportation.
Well, you know what's funny? Get it if you want to be technical. He doesn't travel through space; he travels through limbo.
Yeah, but
fun fact:
what we get to see is
a fun fact about Pixie. She can. She is a magic mutant too.
Yeah, I don't know a ton of these kind of newer ones, but yeah, I've definitely seen Glob. He stands out
Glob
to
was
me.
originally drawn by EVS. See,
And then multiple
okay,
man
that's
in the
multiple
background
man,
there.
and that's actually Vulcan.
Is that Vulcan? So I wasn't sure if it was Vulcan or is it Exodus? I keep forgetting.
Oh, my, is that Vulcan?
Okay, I totally believe you.
Hold on, I
I just know Exodus has those weird. Here, let me try and
Sorry, I
share
made
it.
the
But
beard.
Exodus had those weird.
No, yeah, no, that's Exodus. I'm thinking Vulcan's one of the other ones.
I just don't know what you'd call it. Like it's kind of a collar, but it's kind of wings. It's like I don't know. Anyway, that's why I thought maybe that was Exodus, but I wasn't sure. But
Okay,
they're fun cameos that just
but
we're just
Vulcan
barely
is,
panning by them, and that's all.
No, Vulcan's a different one. But Vulcan is also a fourth Cyclops brother too.
Oh, right.
Vulcan is a
Forgot that they made so many of those.
Vulcan is the other Cyclops brother. Which funny if they ever use him. It's so weird how he is actually like so like that family line for like having no mutants is 3 of the most powerful. Well, it's actually 2-ish. So a lot of the figure of Exodus, yeah, that's what like Exodus is an interesting character that it's weird he shows up.
Like, yeah, there's a bunch of weird ones because they do like a multiple man Exodus Cypher, and even Dazzler makes like a couple.
Well, they've already shown multiple man because he was in X-Force.
Yes, and he was also in Forge's picture of the team before, and we did meet them. And then they kind of are cutting back and forth between the mutants back at the actual base, and they're being interviewed, but you can tell that there's something off between Scott and Jean. It shows Scott taking like an eye mask off, like he was sleeping on the couch or in a chair instead of sleeping in his bed. So I don't know. You can kind of see issues brewing at home, and then they're kind of moving it to even more of like it's not even love triangle at this point. I guess it would be square because you got Madeline Pryor, Scott, Jean, and Logan all in it now. And there's been a few times in the comics where Jean has kind of shown her feelings for Logan, but
you don't want to talk about the new era. You
they
really
go
don't want
all
to talk.
out.
You do not want to talk about that. I hate the new lore that like
well,
unless you're like Dane or like Morgan and them and like fucking cares about the love triangle that is the okay. So it is confirmed.
So I mean, it's is
actually
very much
it's confirmed that like Dakin, who is the son of Wolverine, is actually bisexual. Yes, that he is.
But I didn't know that. They've also done a couple.
He's similar to Wolverine. Okay, well, technically, he is there is another son, but he hasn't talked about a lot. But
he was kind of more the extreme one.
Dakin's story. I am truly surprised. He is like Wolverine, but he has like pheromone powers.
Yep. I've recently been kind of updating myself to kind of the newer lore, and
to be fair,
it's a little odd.
It's rather long story short on his story. He is the son of when Sabretooth killed Miracle.
Oh. Yeah, I guess I didn't go that far back. I just kind of had his powers explained.
He somehow survived as a baby and already had his powers activated so he could survive outside the womb.
I mean, it wouldn't be the first time. Supposedly, Professor X was using his powers in womb as well. So fair enough. It is interesting.
And he ends up, it's that whole thing of, yes, you have the idea that Wolverine is either gay or bi and that type stuff, and it doesn't jive with the X-Men animated universe. Like in Krakoa era, in the Krakoa era, they had Scott, Jean, and Wolverine living on the moon.
Yeah, the thruple. I gotcha.
It's
It makes sense. They're a power thruple.
except somebody. The whole rumor is, and God, I really don't look forward to because like the idea of Fallout Krakoa, like I want this era to burn in fire. It should have
In fire.
It's awful. Like,
well, good news is it'll be reset eventually. They've made a bunch of changes that I don't think
they're already rushing. You think they're rushing through? You think they're rushing through X-Men '97? You need to see what they've been doing with the Fall of X. Like they're literally just going everywhere and like every issue, kneecapping Orcus. It's like no explanations at all. Like, and it's just like, even when you have like Blurred, who, as I said, he was a big one years ago, similar to Eric July, who really liked only black superheroes mainly or supported them. Like, Blurred's.
I don't get that. Like,
Blurred's been the weird one. Like, he hated. This is why I said Blurred is basically the leftist version of Eric July or like comics people. This is why him and Dane got along like two peas in a pod, except he said Bishop was the angry black man in the 90s comic.
I mean, kind of. He was on a mission, but I don't know anything about the Blurred dude. But just the whole notion of like I can only like people of the same race in comics.
He hates so the fact they're tokenized. He hates the fact they get tokenized. Like,
fair enough.
Granted, like the old Bishop was a bishop from a different time where they used him as hounds.
Yeah, he was on a mission. I mean, he's branded. Like, I could understand him.
The surviving
a certain amount of anger
is used as hounds.
Yeah, that makes I did like his old run. They've definitely changed him a bit. They changed up his haircut, and then this one
that's what they called mutants who they converted to hunt other mutants in that timeline.
And in this series, it was kind of different because what I remembered from the previous animated series is the second he took off his time band, he was sent back to his own time. But this, we had multiple episodes where he didn't have it on and Beast was working on it. So I don't know what exactly changed, but something changed between the last time we saw him and now that allows that. Maybe I'm forgetting it from season 5, but that seemed interesting to me. But I like the changes that they did with Bishop.
So the idea is Bishop so far. In that basically, like, what it bothers me in like when you're seeing now is this is the first episode we see other mutants. Like, you don't see Colossus, you see these.
Yes. And that's why I wanted to kind of grab a few of the cameos, because I knew I'd forget some of them. And I'm sure I missed some of them. But there is the soap opera aspect, and I do like that in this. It really does feel like it's kind of a throwback to the Claremont era.
Her memories.
For sure. And also, her husband had a baby with somebody else. True, they thought that was her at the time, but
no, she discovers that they were psychically communicating on the astral plane.
So that comes up in a little bit, but before she even figured out that was happening, she was still conflicted. So I do like that they show that
they're trying to kiss and have an intimate scene.
Yeah, and this whole scene, I thought it looked amazing too. She happens to be at the bottom of a body of water. It's kind of parted, like Moses parting the sea or whatever. But it's kind of amazing. I really like the animation, and then even though they're both elevated, she elevated Logan a little bit lower than her, and then he had to raise up a little bit to make him level with her because he's a small guy, short king. So I thought that was kind of fun. They did that with the animation.
Version, right? Everyone thinks like Hugh Jackman is the version, but really Wolverine's like 5'5".
Yeah. So it really made sense to me. And then the fact that like she put them level and he's way too short, so then they had to like raise him up just a little bit. I thought that was like a fun little element to it. And then she happens to be like looking at a bunch of different memories of her and Cyclops, her and Scott kind of trying to figure out exactly where she's standing on it. And you can tell she's conflicted. I like that soap
They
opera
go back
aspect
to
of
the
it.
old. They go back. It's really touching in the vein of the old. They go back to
Mhm.
like the area, like the episode right when she first discovers she has the Phoenix, and the Phoenix is telling her to go back
Mhm.
into space.
And I'm digging the callbacks to all those. And it really does feel like it's kind of the Claremont era kind of soap opera. I mean, you're right. They're a power thruple now, but it was kind of that will they, won't they soap opera ness that I don't know. That's
Because
what
I
I
thought it would
liked
be
about it.
interesting because in this episode too, you see more of the explanation of like the Rogue and Gambit thing. Like he's
Yeah.
they actually explain it like because there's the beginning of the episode right before the person, or it's like in the beginning, like it's just them talking, and he goes, it's like I love you, and like Gambit loves you too, but and then she admits, it's the whole thing of so they haven't been banging behind the scenes kind of thing.
Yeah. So it actually comes up just after this. I think I don't know if I grabbed any slides from the next thing, but so they have a meeting, the heads of Genosha, and they're trying to say that they need a
No, there's
good
a different
jawline to
part,
represent
right?
them.
No, there's the
So
part where
it's
you see in the beginning. Like, no, they were at the manor. They were at the mansion still because
so
you're missing why he goes. So the mutants in
mm,
Genosha
adding that to
ask
the
him to
story
be
though. So it never shows either Magneto, Rogue, or Gambit at the mansion. It starts with them in the Blackbird heading to Genosha. What it shows is the others at the mansion. I think the scene that you're talking about is coming up right after this. So they say that they need somebody to represent the island of Genosha, and they choose Magneto, and he says he'll do it under one condition. And then it cuts to him talking to Rogue in the same room, and that is where he says that she has to be his queen by her side. And he seems to have kind of a good idea as to, why she would be great as the queen is because she is the mutant with her mutant power, the ability to actually have empathy, to feel what others are feeling. That seems like a great idea. And then that's when they kind of explain what their relationship is. That Rogue realizes that he's doing it kind of for a nefarious reason, if you will, and this has been a ploy to get with her again. So they do imply that she has not actually been with him. So apparently they were actually training, even though they had the danger room blocked out for days on end. Uh, they made it pretty clear in their dialogue that they're not actually hooking up at this point. So I don't know. It's kind of interesting to me. I don't know exactly what they were doing in all their time alone, but yeah, it heavily implies that they were not actually banging or whatever. But I don't know. I could have used a little bit more explanation as to like, well, then what was happening? Like, was he helping her figure out her powers so that she could possibly touch Remy? Like, what was going on? What was all that training about? But apparently, it wasn't romantic.
Um,
However, she now has a tough choice in front of her.
uh, the um, the concept, right? And it's a really good scene, right? I guess she chooses, and then Gambit turns her down as well.
Oh, sorry, I did grab one from the. So yeah, then there's kind of a decision that Rogue has to make, and then we cut back to the mansion, and it looks like so it implies that Scott is talking to Jean, but it turns out it's not actually Jean. He's in this psychic meeting, if you will. He's having a rendezvous in his mind with Madeline Pryor, and then Jean discovers it and like completely destroys it. So now we've got this weird four-way. So I don't know what you'd call that.
And
Love
she has to
square?
confront him, and when she feels conflicted, that
Mm-hmm.
uh, to find the one, and you find it, I'll find the image, because the really big thing is it shows like the death of mutants, and it like goes down all the way till there's like the last ones on Genosha, like all except for like 700, like get killed on Genosha.
All of the different visions that both Madeline Pryor and Jean Grey had, like throughout this entire season, they make so much more sense once you get up to the end of this episode, and it makes you want to go back and like look at those, because prior I had thought that it was the other master mold that they were talking about, but I don't think it is anymore. I'm pretty sure it's this wild sentinel that shows up a little bit later in the episode, that has been kind of that warning with all the graves, with the thing that looked like a nuclear blast going on. It just, I don't know, it shows all these breadcrumbs that they've kind of left for you throughout this season to kind of get to this point. It just makes me look at those visions.
So there's like a big party. They're like, oh, you do this, you do that.
Well, I think there's like one conversation before. Oh, sorry. So Scott and Jean are having some sort of fight when all of a sudden psychically
there's a voice. There's two. First, a voice tries to contact Jean. Then contacts Madeline Pryor.
And it almost shoots her in the forehead, almost like Sinister's crystal, but it's not like either the red or the green that we've kind of seen from that before. Instead, it's this blue, which is a little bit different, but Jean gets hit with it, and it doesn't quite explain exactly what's happening, but it interrupts the fight that her and Scott are having, and then it kind of cuts away from that, and we get to go back to Genosha. And there's a really touching scene between Gambit and Rogue, and again, that Queen of Hearts. And she's
like, well, you have to do it for... like, you have to do it for the political part.
But she mentions that it's more than just that. Like, she does go through her backstory with Eric, how she knew him before. She kind of explains that like her evil mother brought her to him to help her, but at that time she realized that she could actually touch Eric, where she hasn't been able to touch anyone else. So she did kind of go through what their past relationship was and kind of really cleared that up. It is a bit of retconning it. She does have the throwaway line, so we pretended like it never happened. So that's why they've never referenced it before, never acted like they knew each other before. But it's really kind of touching, and there is that same symbolism that you saw before when Gambit saw that they were kind of secretly together. He dropped the Queen of Hearts. In this, while she's telling him all this stuff, he's throwing cards into the fire, and it ends with him throwing the Queen of Hearts. She does end up saying that for the political reasons and for the fact that she can never actually touch Remy, she must choose Magneto. And it's heartbreaking, but my God, Gambit, Remy just takes it like such a gentleman. He couldn't have been more nice considering what was going on this whole time. Just I don't know, man, that was powerful. It really does remind me of like the Claremont era kind of soap opera nature. We've got this like kind of love square going on between Wolverine, Jean, Scott, and Madeline Pryor, and then we've got this triangle going on here between Rogue, Gambit, and Magneto. I don't know, man. This kind of reminds me of those classic runs. I don't hate it. I can understand how this would turn some people off.
But as well, there is an arc to this, but they don't go into it explicitly. Like leading... I had the image before, but the idea of the wild sentinels are... like, it's definitely like there's a very iconic image from, I'll have to do it. It's gonna be smaller. Like, people won't see it. Like, it is a very, so it right before after everything is decided, like a party.
Yeah, and I think I did not grab any of the party, but so Gambit is dressed to the nines in this awesome white tux, truly looking like the true gentleman he is. But he's dressed up for this big. Did they name what it was called? It's like a ball party for the
Hellfire
Genosha
Gala.
being.
That's they use.
So
Nope.
I know it is like the
They
Hellfire
used
Gala,
a
but I wasn't sure if
term
they
for a
called it
Hellfire
this.
Gala. That's what they used.
Okay. Which, is awesome. It makes sense. They're being adopted into the UN, so there should be a celebration and it should be a black tie affair. So it's really kind of cool. But Rogue had previously said that she has to choose Magneto for the political reason and the fact that, Remy can, I think he lights up anything he can touch, but he can never touch her. That's sad and poignant, and I get it. And it kind of goes to that whole arc that Rogue has been on really since the beginning. She longs for human touch. So it makes sense. And then she goes to this ball, and she is dressed without gloves because she can actually touch Eric. So they put on quite the dance in front of everybody to this amazing Ace of Base song. It really is quite a visual spectacle to see, but yeah, it feels like she's flying a little too close to the sun, maybe, with the whole not trying to protect herself from touching anybody else. I don't know. But she looks awesome in her dress. Magneto looks awesome in his tux. Everybody is having a great time here, except for Madeline Pryor. Now she gets a red shot to the forehead, kind of like Jean got with the blue one earlier. But then it makes her have a bloody nose and she has to run out of the building. And when she does that, so you're not wrong. Sorry, I just saw the comment that it looks like a Korean company animated some of this. You're not wrong. They are taking a whole bunch of elements from the 90s one where multiple companies kind of did it. Part of it's throwback, part of it's 2D, part of it's 3D. It's an interesting animation style. I really like it. It feels like an upgrade from the original 90s one. But yeah, it's a slight mixture of modern, but it's still throwing back to that kind of really choppy 90s style. But you're not wrong. It does look like some of those modern ones that are kind of just being thrown out there. But part of that is by design. So once Madeline kind of has this experience, she goes outside and she actually meets Cable, which is pretty awesome. And it sounds like he's here to warn something.
He tries to say it. He tries to say it like out loud, but he goes, I'm always too late.
And it definitely seems like
and he goes in the future, the band's talking, and he goes, oh, he's coming, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it's a dire adventure in the future where he has to go. And I'm assuming that's going to have to be Apocalypse.
I'm kind of assuming so too. In the intro, I didn't grab it, but they do show both Cable and Apocalypse kind of fighting in the intro. One of those new scenes that they kind of add in each time. So there was one other thing that happened. Did you notice the special cameo? I didn't grab it for this. Unfortunately, I missed it. But did you notice a cameo in the fireworks when they were just starting the ball? It happens to be, what is his name? Oh, it's the Watcher. But yeah, it kind of, they did it really subtly where you can barely see him, but Uatu, the Watcher, just barely is visible next to the fireworks. And then we get the whole Cable thing. It's kind of crazy, but if you're able to catch it, then you know something horrible is about to happen. And then you see Cable come and talk to Madeline Pryor. It was really touching to me, but it feels like he could have given a little bit more of a warning. Instead, he sees his mother and she sees that it's him, which is a really touching moment. But yeah, it doesn't help anything change, unfortunately. And then all hell breaks loose, man. I was not expecting this episode to go as hard as it did, but yeah, I'm not as familiar with.
I already knew they were going to go with E for Extinction.
There's no way they can let this. There's no way they could let this happy island just exist. Yeah. When I saw that we were going to Genosha, I knew something was up. It's not just going to be this peaceful utopia.
I knew it was going to be E for Extinction.
Yeah.
That's a Sentinel. This is from the comic.
And that looks so damn close to what we ended up getting. yeah, I absolutely love what they ended up doing with this. But there's a few other elements apparently that they brought in, not just E for
They
Extinction, and
don't
I'm not
go
as
into
familiar.
they do not go into the creation of these because there was two
Hmm.
other bigger giant wild sentinels that they were able to shoot down
Hmm.
because what they asked them, there was like some tri sentinels that all tried to go. It turns out all you needed was one. And like a
Well,
big
you only
giant
needed one to
master
do
mold,
this,
big giant master mold kind of thing.
but
And uh it's generally why it's called the Red Wedding.
yeah, and I wish I had grabbed some more of the
Like you're
actual images
seeing the
because
Morlocks first because it feels really weird. A lot of them either
mhm,
get murdered or you don't know how many of them there. I'm assuming they're going to kill off because this image is extremely iconic. But this is
mhm,
part of a the other because it shows the Sentinel. It's also kind of as like a factory or a transport.
mhm,
So the story behind this Sentinel is this was a Sentinel that they just undid the base parameters. So it's not even human looking anymore. It's just like giant. Like this was one of the main ones that got there. They destroyed two of the other. Uh don't tell me I got rid of the other. Ew. I did. I did. I'll find it again. So E for hold on a second.
don't know. But I wish I had grabbed some of the other art from this because, oh, man, it is beautiful and tragic once the actual once this wild sentinel comes into Genosha and just starts destroying everything. It is horrible, but it is amazingly done and is so beautiful. They just are able to take all the light out, and it's essentially almost a black frame, and the only thing you can see are these green blasts from the actual near atomic weapon it is yielding. That is just it it really deserves way more than I can do with description. A picture is worth 1,000 words. But man, what they ended up doing, how they depicted this threat, it is just it was a pretty amazing. And then each kind of mutant gets a little chance to shine in ways of getting out of this. However, they went really hard with it. Not every mutant gets out of this, and my God, they went a lot
Well,
further on
there's
this
a
one than I would have
better
thought.
uh
But just
the
the artwork of the actual weaponry when the tri-headed sentinel actually like shoots its blast, I don't think that could have been depicted better. Like what they are able to do with the audio and that, and then the visuals, just man, you can feel the impact of that weapon. It's not just a regular sentinel. It's not just a regular blast. Just it felt a lot more. I don't know if you'd go real, but it had way more impact to me than those original ones of the Wild Sentinel. But it's definitely the same type of destruction. Just I really like their depiction in this actual animation. I thought that was handled amazingly. They've really been doing the powers. When Gambit's using his cards, when he's able to charge up Wolverine, everything that Cyclops has been able to do this season. I'm just digging their attacks, and then they really make the action flow a lot better than it did in the '90s one. Same thing with Nightcrawler when he's able to do his teleportation. It looks so amazing compared to everything from the '90s. So I just think huge improvements
there
with the
is a
animation all around.
really big image that I wish I could find this particular image better than it does. Like I have to maybe this one particular image. They don't really uh they don't. Because if you could see this image, this is Cassandra Nova attacking.
Yeah, and we haven't met her. So and when Cable
I
comes,
the
he says
rumor
he is
is
coming.
the rumor is right. Don't ignore it. And this is not listen. They think it's going to be Cassandra Cain, but in this event, it's Cassandra Cain who ordered Bolivar Trask to do it. You see, it starts off with 16 million falling.
Yeah,
Then there's another 11 million, 8.2, 800,000. All that's left is 768.
which is insane.
This is literally one of the biggest defining events in all of basically X-Men history.
Yeah,
E for Extinction has never been, the end of it has never been forgotten.
yeah.
Basically, this is what they call the Mutant Massacre. And this was what kind of was hinted at in the beginning. But this is like, I have to congratulate this episode is they gave this what it's due.
I think so. The impact is just
Compared to last week.
Don't get me wrong. Like those panels are, they're horrifying, but it doesn't put you on actual Genosha. You're not in the middle of it. You just kind of see the ramifications of it. But sorry, you were saying compared to how they were able to execute last week.
So the show does it more like there's other parts of it that actually show the battles in it in the other. But to depict it more, they show it's basically a more powerful Sentinel. Like next to like the only other Sentinel you could have really brought in just to be a sheer asshole would have been Nimrod.
Yeah, which we've seen, but fair enough. But yeah, so sorry, we're kind of talking about Cassandra Nova before that. She might be the one behind this, but Cable specifically said he's coming.
The rumor is this series is going to pay off. The first season's going to go for Deadpool movie.
Well, so I'm not 100% certain because it has been confirmed that Cassandra Nova is cast in the Deadpool movie, but I'm not sure how much this is gonna like tie into that. If instead they're gonna say like Sinister is the he that or Apocalypse is the he that was being warned about.
I saw the weird thing in the fireworks of the Watcher, and then there's a voice speaking to people. I would have thought it's the Watcher warning because the Watcher is not supposed to.
He's not supposed to at all. And he has in the What If. Yeah, we do know that now I'm forgetting his name. Is it Jeffrey Wright is cast as the Watcher, and he has been in multiple different things, including the What Ifs, where he has been able to intervene. Like What If the Watcher did intervene, I think is one of the episodes, if I remember right.
But it's Cable trying to telepathically use his powers in limited to do it.
Yeah, but there is a possibility that they are going to try and link the two properties. It does look like they are trying to kind of link everything with the Fox universe to the MCU through this Deadpool movie. It would be fun if they were. Yeah, true. Somehow we're getting the combination, and they also did that with the Marvels with Rambo being there with Beast and Professor X. So
the big good part about this scene is when people need to watch it actually shows Nightcrawler trying to get everybody out, teleporting people, and you do not know who survives and who's dead.
Yeah,
you have like Magneto,
a lot of famous faces on stretchers, so it needs to be seen. But man, the depictions of some of these. So I didn't grab a whole bunch for spoilers, but could I get you to put that slideshow back on there one more time? I know I grabbed a thing of the Tri-Headed Sentinel. I think it's the next one. Oh, I'm so sorry. So this is like before it's going to use its weapon, but man, just the artwork in this was amazing. I thought this particular part, the battle scenes, were just over the top. You should check it
This
out if you're a fan of X-Men at all, but if you're just a fan of
all
animation, I
three
think
have
this is
different.
amazing.
All three, like this is like the one with like have like the big weapon blasts,
Hmm.
and this is
And
just
then there was a if you notice who that character is in the middle, it is a cameo. Do you recognize him by any chance?
not off the top of my head. No.
So he could be my favorite OnlyFans creator at this point. That's Bo DeMeo himself, the showrunner from this show. He did do a self-insert cameo where on the rooftop, a whole bunch of mutants and perhaps
Oh, that
non-mutants are
does
about to
look
be
like
taken out.
him. Oh shit.
Yeah. So he did a cameo of someone who
Yeah.
was about to get zapped, and then we have like the most heroic sacrifice I've seen in this show, and totally earned. Um, the artwork is just amazing.
So
The
he gets
lines are just
stabbed,
amazing.
right? He already knows. Like, it's not how the big sentinel gets taken down, but it's like he uses and he sacrifices himself. Which I guess whatever stabs him, he can turn it into any matter into explosive, and he blows up the sentinel entirely.
But it is a huge sacrifice. And they've kind of set that up before. He is an Omega level, but depending on which run, he either went and had Mr. Sinister take out part of his brain, or he hasn't been his true potential. But what is it when he's Omega level? Is it New Sun, I believe, is his name when he's the other version, and then when he's Death as one of the Horsemen. Gambit
Nah,
also
you
has
forget
this
how
amazing.
ignore. The argument is you could always say, like, there's a variant in his powers, right?
Mm-hmm.
He has a potential, but his absorption powers are not. Okay, when you think of a mega level power, and that's a big thing.
It is.
He
I just
can
know he has been
absorb.
classified as New Sun as Omega level, but he hasn't quite reached that potential yet. But he keeps getting more powerful. The thing that he has to do to charge like bigger items is it takes more time. So
Oh yeah,
that's
so you
why
are
he
talking
favors the
about
cards.
new song. Yeah, like you're talking in an alternative version
Mm-hmm.
in
But he
kinetic
has the
energy.
potential to go. Mm-hmm. Exactly. But he has the potential. But what they have established is he can basically charge up almost anything, but it takes the time. The bigger the thing is, the more time it takes. Uh, but man, what they were able to do. So I think when I'm really thinking about it and being honest, I think Gambit is my favorite X-Men. I don't know why, but I just always loved that character. I followed him through a bunch of weird arcs and everything, and I'm trying to think. There's only like two times that I can think of where he has been taken out or he has died, but they were able to bring him back like almost immediately. He does a huge sacrifice, and it's totally earned in this episode. Normally, that would piss me off to see like my favorite character offed, but my God, the way that they were able to do this, it felt so earned. It felt so in character, and it just I don't know. I I love it, and I don't feel like I should. It's really weird. How did this kind of affect you? This giant.
It is a bigger deal, right?
Mhm. Like you said, a lot of people are kind of comparing this to like the Red Wedding. Like it's kind of unseen, and two giant X-Men might have been taken out. We definitely see one, and one seems to be confirmed, but
So the
there's
big
another one that
thing,
we haven't
right,
talked
is
about.
if you're going off the Age of X story, which is, I guess, that's where uh, it's weird. Uh, to be fair, it's like the idea, right, is Age of X is where you could potentially see him as more powerful.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like that is like it's a weird one. Like it's a different reality. Could they
Mm-hmm.
be? It's like but it is confirmed he doesn't have the energy absorption of either Shaw or Bishop.
Yeah,
Bishop has
it
a
is.
limit as well, but like Shaw is. It's weird though. This is the episode they choose to have the missing mutant show up in, though.
The missing mutants, like ones that we just haven't seen before, or
The ones we
sorry, what do you
haven't
mean?
seen.
Mm.
Like
Well, I mean, like it
White
kind of makes sense because
Queen,
it's
you have
Shinosha.
like White
Yeah.
Queen, you have Sebastian Shaw.
Mm-hmm. Who appear to be
Like,
in, kind of
I
running the
would be
place.
very curious, but they might do the E for Extinction section because the big deal is they have the difference between you can see in the images is not all the cities burnt or on fire compared to the
Mm-hmm.
original Extinction event. So they may not pull that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. And they did leave some things kind of ambiguous. So I guess the other giant sacrifice that we didn't talk about right before this, Magneto is fighting this Wild Sentinel one on one, and it is kind of getting the better of him. But there is a group of Morlocks that are kind of trapped that will not make it out of his next blast, the Sentinel's next blast. So uh, Eric kind of makes a force field around them, a magnetic field to protect them from the blast. And it is very unclear whether his powers were sufficient to kind of stop the whole blast. Once the blast goes off, so first you get Leech and they're kind of hugging Magneto, saying, "Don't be afraid" in German, which I thought that part was super touching. But once the blast goes off, the Sentinel says Omega level threat. Uh, what is it? Destroyed? I can't remember exactly what it
Eliminated.
said. Eliminated. Thank you. So it's a little unclear, and it doesn't show Magneto's body or anything like that. But that makes Rogue want to sacrifice herself, and that makes Gambit have to stop Rogue, and then Gambit ends up doing his own heroic thing. Man, I so there's so many classic characters that I feel like almost never die in the comics. Gambit is one of those, and I think he's definitely one of my favorite ones. Like I said, I can only remember him dying in the comics twice. One of them, Rogue, like goes into, it's not the afterlife, but I can't remember exactly where it is, and she brings him back. So it's like almost immediately. It's not like he's gone for a while. And then the other one is he gets killed, but he's brought back as Death, the Four Horsemen, one of the Four Horsemen for Apocalypse, and that is also kind of like very soon. It's not like it's this big time without him. And even currently, I believe he's even like creating his own team currently. So
So
this
the
is a
idea
huge
of the
departure.
wild sentinel, right, is they were
Mm-hmm.
meant to be sentinels that could adapt on the fly to fight
Mm-hmm.
mutants, which it would make sense that he could not fight them
Mm-hmm.
over time, which it would mean
Her
like
thumb does
he
look weird. It's a really touching scene, though. Oh man, I would suggest, since you are an artist, sir, if you like X-Men at all, this whole section, while her thumb may look weird, there's other people with weird thumbs. The whole scene is just so touching, and then the fact that they go to like the sad X-Men theme right after this, just bam, it hits me in the feels. But
see
you're not
this
wrong.
is
Her
where they're
thumb looks
going
weird.
to go to the next one is uh I think we're probably going to see.
Ooh. So you have
Uh,
predictions on where it's going, because the next one is Life Death Part 2.
I am
So I think we're
assuming
not
that
going
they're
to this
going to
story at all.
develop, they're going to go and finish that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they will probably do that.
So do you know, I didn't look at the schedule. Are they taking a break? Is this the mid-season finale and then there's going to be a break between the next episodes listed? Because I know they also released a trailer for what's coming up next. And then that trailer happened to have some cameos that a lot of people are talking about as well. But I know the next title of it was Life Death Part 2. So I'm guessing we're going to go away from this story and then we're just going to focus on Storm's story for the next episode.
It made
But
me
who knows?
wonder. No. So, what tipped me off to what this episode
Mhm.
was the title, and then they said we were going to Genosha.
Yeah, from the title, I thought it was going to be a Gambit episode, but I didn't think it was going to be like this. And then Gambit's final line too, like the remember it. Just yeah, that really harkens back to some of those original episodes. Was it the original episode where he introduces himself and tells the Sentinel to remember it? Just he's definitely used that line a few times. So I
But
kind of knew this was gonna go that route, but I am not as familiar with the
no,
arcs as
you
you are.
forget the part two, like right before Madeline remembers that's actually her son
Yeah,
from the future.
when she sees Cable, and it kind of cuts his warning short because he realizes that's his mother, she realizes that's her son, and she realizes he made it. So you can see like this kind of look of joy and happiness, and then immediately he gets pulled, and just yeah, devastation begins. This whole episode, man, it hit on a different level for me. I think this might be peak X-Men, like any X-Men.
So the
And
plan is every 7 days till October. I mean,
oh,
till May
nice.
15th. So
So cool. There isn't going to be a break. Good. Thank you for looking at that. I should have looked into it, and not just asked you.
no,
But
we don't know when
thank you.
season two. They're probably going to wait to release season two later on. So
I'd
Life
assume
Death
so. This
Part
just
Two is I'm really really hoping, because a lot of the criticisms that X-Men 97 has been receiving is what we have said, or what I've had said.
mhm.
A lot of people are trying to bury it, but JSG points it out. I guess he gave it like 3 episodes. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
like,
not
you see the
wrong.
warning signs there. I mean, a lot of people shrugged at Inferno, and I mean, I saw the warning signs on the wall with the abridgment,
Yeah.
and personally, I don't understand why Blur did not. He is weird. He is like does the Dane level of liberal copium that like he he does, but what's getting now is as he's getting older, he's getting more like doing the far left slant thing with political, but he's also the same guy you got to bear in mind who believes conspiracy theories like Dane does, but he's more level headed about it. Like he
I
believes
don't know the guy.
Ripiverse is Ripiverse is goalpost is actually Eric July. It's like, yeah, dude, you
Yeah, that's
are
been spread around on that side a
like,
lot.
but he has these theories, but like he himself should have jumped on the whole life death in the stuff before. He goes, I'm fine with like Inferno being a bridge, but it's like you
I
sign
don't know.
off on that, and that his whole chat was divided on that.
I'm of
Like,
two minds because the Madeline Pryor stuff in the comics is so messy, and that's what made me hate Cyclops so much. Like Scott literally just kicks his baby and his wife to the curb because Jean comes back out of nowhere. Jean was never supposed to come back. They forced Claremont to bring her back. They announced it before they even talked to him that like she's coming back. Um, but it's really messy because he had set it up to have Cyclops have this happy ending to go off to be happy finally. And then they had to take that away. And then once they do that, it just makes him such a, I don't know, a horrible person in my mind.
So it's going to be weird with life, death, I guess. All the mutants that weren't on Genosha probably they're going to say how many died, how many are there.
Do you
Now,
think they're even going to touch this though? I'm kind of thinking it's going to be a full Storm focused episode. Do you think they're going to the aftermath of this?
no,
Because
I'll
isn't
be
the next one like
curious if
Extinction?
they. I am pretty sure. I want to say Bright Eyes is going to
Right, I
be.
forgot Bright Eyes was in there. Would that be Cable? Who would be Bright Eyes? I guess
I'm beginning. Well, if they keep this up, there is two things consistent. They're showing that they showed the Phoenix again.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
The
they've done that at the start of the
Shi'ar,
last three. Yeah,
Shi'ar,
and they showed the Shi'ar, I can't think of her name, but with Xavier in the cockpit.
Blackbird.
They did show
I
that
think
the last two different times.
I think her name is Blackbird, but she's
Yeah.
the main regent.
Mm-hmm.
They also showed Gladiator.
Yes. So it seems like they're going that route, and they showed Apocalypse in this one and Cable, so I'm kind of thinking they're going that route, but do you have any guess as to what Bright Eyes would be from the
I
title?
mean, they're gonna have to. I mean, if they depends on how full Phoenix they go. Either
Mm-hmm.
there's a reflection upon like maybe Madeline Pryor survives because she touches a little bit on the Dark Phoenix powers.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's unclear with a lot of these mutants, like whether they made it out or not. Madeline Pryor was just outside with the explosion, so in theory, she could have been pushed to the side, not like destroyed. Or again, you mentioned the Phoenix Force. There's a lot of people that are left unclear whether what happened.
It would be
Even one of the
weird
two
for you
giant
to take.
sacrifices we saw.
It would be weird to take Magneto off the board as well.
I think so, but when you look at some of those storylines, like isn't E for Extinction? Didn't that have him out of the picture for like a couple years, and then he came back as a different character? There's been a couple times where they've kind of alluded to Magneto being gone, and then it turns out he wasn't really gone. So
E
it's
for
hard to say.
Extinction's weird because if you really want to get to the end of it, is Xavier takes over his Cassandra takes over his body, then he goes
Mhm.
off to obliterate the Shi'ar Empire.
Yeah, so I don't think they're doing that route. But again, so Cassandra is going to be in Deadpool, like that is confirmed. It is cast. I
Okay,
don't know if they're going
so
to connect these two
before people
together.
get the idea, Cassandra Cain, there's two origins of her. She is the twin that was either killed by Xavier as a child and absorbed, or the twin sister that died when he was born.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's a little. They've definitely changed it. They've retconned a bunch of.
like Krakoa actually brought Cassandra out as a. And again, the problem with the Krakoa era is you turned X-Men into near fascists or dictators with superiority complexes, and then
Some of them are kind of there.
You tried to actually rehabilitate a lot of heroes. It's like Dane saying Shadow King can't be bad because he's based on a black person. He consumes people. Even when, okay, the funny part is, even when they brought back Shadow King inside Krakoa, like we allowed him to be there because they know he's about evil as shit. Like he was psychically leeching off of all the people in Krakoa, and even accidentally killed somebody. It's like, and Dane is like, of all his comic book knowledge, and I've seen others make this in Krakoa era, like being a bad person. You Right. I don't. I mean, it's way over people's heads to talk about Krakoa because the Krakoa era, like the mess of it, like two
Yeah.
people you don't trust. Like I predicted the beginning of the Krakoa era, he was going to be Moira, who was going to fuck over the era, and I was correct.
Well, and that's the thing too. Moira was in this, and it looked like she was taken by Banshee, and he was flying out when he was hit directly by a blast. So Moira might be out in this one too.
Well, she does
It's
play a big role in. She's not a mutant. Like, bear in mind, it's only been recent. I mean, to
yeah,
be fair, like the concept is like touching upon it. Maybe this is a universe. Maybe they just insert because a lot of the other team didn't go to the island,
yes.
so like
Only
it's
Rogue,
probably a
Magneto,
good
and
thing because if they are going to do the Genosha massacre, because that's the thing that literally takes Genosha off like
Mhm.
the map of in the east of Necrotia, which isn't. Then you get to bear in mind that's a very another big storyline. Uh, you use you introduce Selene. Selene's a
yeah.
very interesting one.
I'm not
Uh,
sure how far they're gonna go with any of
they
this,
would
and
never
especially
do
with
that.
this.
They would never
No,
introduce her. Like I
and
think that would be
they've
far
teased
too.
Sinister and Apocalypse, so I think that's what's gonna happen this particular
I'll be
one. But
honest. If you have Sinister, you're going to have Apocalypse because by animated universe rules,
mhm.
Sinister got his X gene from Apocalypse.
Yeah. So I assume that's kind of where they're going with this, and they're going to kind of change who's in charge. So instead of it being Cassandra, even though she's going to show up in the movies apparently later this year, I kind of have a feeling these aren't connected, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're going to connect it all, and
They
we're
probably
going to
won't. That's a
learn about a
mislead.
character.
But for X-Men 97, we know it's 10C. We know they're going to. And I think it's a solid episode. It's a very
It's
solid
really
episode.
solid. I think it might be my favorite of any X-Men property out there.
And it's weird they couldn't do this. I think JSG was pretty speechless about this episode as well. Like, I'm
It hits on
surprised
a different
he,
level, man. They got the
like,
soap opera part of it, but they got the action part of it, and my God, did they get the sacrifice part as well? And it's earned. So I don't know. For me, this is definitely S tier as far as any X-Men property that's out there.
it's
This
probably
episode,
going to be one of the best episodes of the season.
I
Now,
I think it goes beyond the season, man. At least for me. And granted, it's subjective, but I would think I would hate this just because of who made the sacrifice. But my God, it seems so earned, and it seems so in character and amazing. I thought they were cucking Gambit this season, and I don't think they could have made him go out more of a stud. You know, it's amazing, man. I can't say enough good about this episode. I watched it I don't know how many times now, but every time I'm finding something additional that they're kind of putting in there. This just is working for me on so many different levels. I think they truly understand it, and I think it's kind of a shame that Bo DeMeo's off of this project because yes, there's a self insert where he puts himself on the roof here, but I think he really understood these characters. Again, like we mentioned with the whole like Goblin Queen storyline, I think that got the short end of the stick, but I think they did the right thing with Madeline Pryor. So I'm kind of mixed on it because I really don't like the Madeline Pryor in the comics, and I think the way they did it here was so much cleaner. But I don't think the Goblin part was earned. But man, they really seem to understand it, and they're putting the right amount of soap with the right amount of action, with the right amount of just reverence for these characters. I can't say enough good about this. I'm fully on board. I think this. So granted, we're 5 episodes into a 10 episode season. This might be my favorite Disney show ever. I think this
you're
episode put it
talking
in that tier.
about you're finally getting there to like the concept is like it's to be fair
You're talking 10 episodes is pretty I'm going to be honest. I'll be very curious because like I think somewhere between they stopped and it will show next week because the criticizing of the Storm thing, they just go, oh, Storm and them just fell in love, and they totally, that should have been a whole episode. Even
in the comics, they spend, I think it's like 2 pages making a fucking salad in that particular Storm run. It is amazing. Like, it really shows you their relationship, and instead of just, hey, I'm Forge, I love you. It's weird. It just
and
feels
then
like
she walks in and finds him talking to Henry Gyrick on the phone.
Yeah. Yes, and she overhears on the, like, it makes sense, the way that she kind of finds out in the comic, where in the actual show, instead she just walks in and sees that he's got a collar on his thing. It's like, oh yeah, I helped create that. By the way, they used that collar to make the gun that took away your powers. It doesn't feel earned. But what they were able to do with this episode, they're showing me that they do understand it, that they do know what it takes to actually earn something. So I'm hoping the fact that there is the part 2 of Life Death, they actually give that story the reverence it deserves. I'm not 100%
she's
convinced
gonna
that they
have
will.
to get through she's gonna have to get through Adversary.
Thank you. I could not think of Adversary's name.
Well, see, I guess it's gonna be, I mean, I'll be very honest that a lot of us have been hoping for the best, like with this series.
Yeah.
I have overlooked, like, but we kind of, I mean, the whole problem is you can kind of guess where they were going to go. Like,
yeah, well, from
again,
the name, what is it,
like, I already know where, like, as soon as I think it, I'm just like, we're going to Snow Show. And I
well,
go,
the 3-part end, I can't remember what it's called, but it's part 1, 2, and 3, isn't it? Like, it's not Extinction, but it's
Tolerant.
Yeah, I think it's like Tolerance is Extinction or something like that. It really, it leads you there in your mind that they're going down this storyline. So you mentioned that from the beginning when you told me what those were called. It's like, yeah, you're probably right.
And what's
I don't know
funny
exactly
is
where they're going, but you're right.
funny the vision Madeline Pryor has.
It completely put that in a new context for me too. I had to go back and look at that.
That is from it's from the start of the season.
Yeah. But it had the master mold there, so you think that, okay, it's the master mold that they fought in the desert that they took out in like 2 seconds. You know, no big deal. But the green, the graves, the huge, like almost nuclear explosion, almost Sarah Connor moment. Yeah, it makes me reevaluate everything that happened in that vision. Like they were leaving the breadcrumbs from the beginning. Did you happen to catch the trailer for the second half of the season? I think they just released it yesterday. If not, then it was like Tuesday, whatever day they did the finale, the mid-season finale. It's got a couple extra cameos that I wasn't anticipating. So it has a couple people theorizing that it is going to connect to more very soon.
By the way, I should say too, if people are going to be a keyboard warrior in combat, if they're going to do word combat in a section, they can at least make themselves known. And I have ill tolerance for people on sock accounts. Like,
I like it when people come in with their secondary account.
I love people who talk shit through a sock account and just like, we're nothing special. I'm like, so do me a favor. Show me your nerd cred of any kind. But I'm not going to show. I'm a weak. Yeah, so take your glass jaw and go away.
It's a medical condition, okay?
I wouldn't say glass jaw, but no, I was really hoping someone would show up, buddy. It's like these people are like, we're going to have combat in the combat section. I'm just a passive bias, but he can have his own opinion. I look up his account. His account was created in October of 23. Like, I'm like, sock account. I hate those people. They are sock accounts. You should not. I was just overlooking the comments from JSG's video.
Oh,
It's pretty
I
interesting.
was
They have the
wondering
same
like who you were talking about.
ideas, right?
Fair enough.
Nah,
Well,
it's I get it, abridging, but everyone kind of ignores the abridging.
they're gonna have to abridge it. Well, I guess they wouldn't have to if they really wanted to spend like an arc, an episode, or something like that. But they're trying to do two different storylines, at least two in each episode. So there is going to be an abridgment, at least of one of them. But
The only thing I can't think of, if they were, I thought they were gonna do. I was actually gonna thought they were gonna do E for Extinction towards the end of the season.
That is kind of what you were saying with again, like Tolerance is Extinction, or I can't remember exactly what they did, but it's a 3-part one that's the last 3 episodes of this season.
Because it would make
yeah,
sense.
I thought so too. And you had kind of mentioned that when you first told me the names of these things. It's like, yeah, that I think they are going that route. I can't think of what else it would be.
But the fact they pulled this event early.
Mm-hmm. Now I have no clue what that's going to be, but I'm looking forward to it. They have me fully on board with this.
Yeah, the problem is they're going to take. Let me see if I'm trying to find the mid-season too, but like,
nice.
It
kind of set the internet ablaze a little bit with the cameo that the object that they showed that implies a cameo. So I don't want to spoil it for you if you haven't seen it, but man, it is. I think it's going to be a good season. Sorry, my dog's bark.
So
I think we could probably get away with watching it on stream if we like at least talk over it or whatever.
Fine.
I've seen a whole bunch of people do reactions to it, but
no, you're fine. I'm not.
Okay. The very last frame is kind of, you'll see it when it happens.
But yeah, like the concept they teased, saying Bastion. Oh boy.
It's going to go even further than that. Just wait.
Did they say Bastion?
I thought I heard Bastion, but I'm not 100% certain.
You would know if it's Bastion.
But yeah, there's kind of a bigger one that may imply something else.
Well, if they go with Bastion, okay. Who really is? Never mind. That's speculation. I'd have to look at it. I think if they do Bastion, that would be the next stop. Like, you don't know who that is. Like, I don't know, but that'd be there. So we'll move on. Like, I'll have to look that trailer up. I kind of saw it or heard about it.
You definitely should. So it implies that perhaps it's not just going to be mutants that are going to deal with this threat.
I mean, if they show like the other people from the animated universe, and the big thing, right? Oh, the Avengers.
That's kind of implied.
If they tried to bring in, I think I did see that somewhere at the end of this one. Looked at like if now it would be curious. I'll say this when we move on. If they do try to reboot the Marvel animated hour. Cap and Cyclops coming to blows. I think I saw that. Like, if it'd be way too hard if they are going to do Bastion. Like
So I'm not sure. I've
if they
definitely heard
try
some
to-
people say that they think it could be that, but the one that's confirmed, they definitely show the shield in there. And
no.
that's not like there was an episode of the 90s run where it was Logan alongside of Captain America back fighting in World War II. So it's like he's appeared before, but yeah, I don't know if this implies like the Avengers are going to be in the second half of the season or are going to help, but it's interesting. There's implications.
So basically, to sum it up, Bastion is it comes from Operation Zero Tolerance, and he is potentially he is like a human sentinel. So yeah, and that is a really well, the fact alone they use, so he's a fusion of a master mold and Nimrod Sentinel. Now,
I think they would probably have to explain that a little bit more. I think Nimrod made like an appearance, but
you would have to do you'd have to pull out of here.
So what I kind of keep seeing people think that this is connecting to is Secret Wars. So I'm not 100% positive that that's where they're going with this.
Really.
But
if you say, here's a big deal. If X-Men 97 was confirmed the deleted universe, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then that would kind of explain how they could kill off certain characters, how they could come back. But then again, we also have time travel. So I guess the one thing that I'll ask you before I'm, I guess, through with my questions on this, do you think any of the deaths in here are permanent? Do you think they're going to undo it via time travel or some other contrivance? Or do you think they actually made this official?
It truly depends. If they have, to be honest, if they start pulling the powers of the Phoenix, that will be very interesting. That she becomes the Phoenix is more than what it appears, and they could say that. So the Phoenix has something called the White Hot Rim.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with the Phoenix's rim, but I'm listening.
Whenever a mutant dies, their soul goes to a realm called the White Hot Room. Now, it's a limbo state. That's actually where a lot of mutants are right now in Krakoa.
That makes sense. I've definitely seen that.
So the concept is, and it's been toyed with a while, they also have hinted at that for certain stuff to work, you needed Jean Grey taken out more ways than one, including a clone of her. That was actually self-resurrecting. So the fact that the Phoenix could, you might be able to resurrect a character here or there. Some will stay dead.
Yeah, but I think some definitely have to be dead, but yeah, I think some people were speculating that this could be like kind of a, like you were saying, like kind of like a dead timeline or version of it, and then this is going to lead into kind of everything that Marvel has going. I'm not sure. I kind of hope they don't. It's weird
because 20 episodes. It makes me really wonder if the second season is 10 episodes too.
Yeah, because I haven't heard that confirmed. I think so, but I haven't heard it 100%.
I've heard it's 20 to 22 episodes. So
really, I hadn't heard that rumor. So if so, that would make me a lot happier because I think they are speeding through some of these arcs where if they did have twice as many episodes, they could really be fleshed out. But all I know is I'm excited to see what's coming up next.
Yeah. So it brings to the other, it's just Fallout. I'm only going to talk about Fallout. I'm sure a lot of people, they need to see it. It is not Halo.
Not in any way. I really enjoyed this, where I really struggled to get through any episode of Halo. I feel like through the 2 seasons of Halo, there was 1.5 good episodes. Uh, so far, I'm feeling a lot happier with this. You kind of mentioned it was the same writer director from Westworld. It really kind of gave me those vibes where there's a bigger story going on and you need to connect it. I've only made it through 2 episodes, so I still need to have it connected, but this is on a different level completely, a whole other tier than Halo.
For those who don't know, who have never seen Westworld's formula, it's always past, present, future. Until you get to a point. I love the original Westworld. I love it because
the Yul Brynner one.
I love the series. The series.
Oh, okay.
Even when it finished up, but bear in mind,
I only made it through 2 seasons of it. I probably should go back and revisit.
Watch the whole thing. They kind of go towards what is the future, like when you get it deviates, like the concept. And also it didn't help that show had like a 2-year hiatus.
Yeah, that really kind of took some of everyone's steam out of that one.
You would have had still 1 million people watching it because it goes from it lays the groundwork how the people become sentient, like how the robots become sentient kind of thing. The maze,
it's a really
what is that? And it uses a similar storytelling, and then it lands it. But the visuals are.
I was just looking at the comments. Yes, the old Yul Brynner one is amazing, but they're doing something different with the HBO.
No, they actually switched it. They kind of touched on Future World, but it was different. But how Westworld ends is rather interesting. Like, to be fair, they kind of rushed it, but then the people got it, so they at least have a clean ending. But like this, knowing that, I'm like, so they're going to have to start. First, you're introduced to the Vault character, which has, if you are a fan like Renowned, I'll probably talk with Renowned about this. He's going to come in as a normie. It's going to be really interesting. It's going to be very interesting.
I guess I'm a super normie and a super casual on this. Like my one roommate was super into it, so I've seen a lot of gameplay.
Did you get so the first episode, all it does is lay out the characters.
Yes, and in a really awesome way. So I don't think we talked about like the first
the opening,
7 minutes of it.
The opening,
it is
right.
Gorgeous.
The opening is actually. The episode is called The End, which
makes sense. It is kind of the end of the old
there's
world.
A lot of stuff in Fallout. You've always wondered what the world was like before the bombs dropped. It's retro.
And this glimpse into it is so amazing. You get so much from just so little. You kind of learn Walt Goggins's. So he ends up becoming the Ghoul, but you kind of see a little bit of his backstory and how he apparently used to be a star, but is now reduced to doing kids' parties. And then his reticence to even be able to like give the thumbs up, which is, the symbol of his previous company. And then just everyone's demeanor. Like there's just a throwaway line when they turn on the TV of like the weather guy being like, am I really supposed to give the weather if I don't even know if we're going to be here this afternoon? Like,
no, the idea, and this actually goes into Fallout lore. Mm-hmm. You know why the thumbs up is bad?
So I'm assuming it has to do with the actual company, the Vault-Tec company, and their logo with the thumbs up guy. But I don't. As a normie, I'm just kind of noticing the
if you look in the distance, you hold up your hand. You hold up your hand like a thumbs up.
Yeah.
If the cloud is taller than your thumb.
And Walt Goggins kind of goes through that with the kid, and that's just the way that they show these blasts, but just through reflection, and you kind of experience it through these two characters. Man, it is powerful and
Because
it's
no one has
masterfully done.
seen, no one has really, you only have an idea with modern Bethesda with the intro to Fallout 4, where your character is actually a combat veteran. Didn't know it, did you?
I am not very familiar with 4. 1 and
Fallout
2 are the
4,
ones that I know
you're
the most.
supposed to be a combat veteran. And
I'm way more of a casual
it's-
in this.
So you have the opening. It kind of talks about the beginning of the war, how it happened. You see it, and they're in Los Angeles, so they get hit first. So you see one explosion, you do the party, you see that, and then you see the opening chaos a little bit, and his daughter, like I'm curious how they were gonna explain it, right?
So far they haven't.
So far, where you're at, they have.
Yeah. Yes.
I watched the whole thing. So for me to actually binge watch a show in one setting, it has to be good. Every episode's an hour.
Yeah. And I think the first one's even more. I think it's like almost an hour and a half.
10, I'm assuming the last.
But yeah.
But like it goes into what the world is like. You see the retro futurist aesthetics. Even though it's 2077, it literally looks like the 1950s going into the 70s. Like
there's some elements of 60s in there, but yeah, it really gives off a 50s vibe.
Like the little, you see the old-fashioned Corvettes, the Thunderbirds. And that's the big part. You can actually flesh out the cars. Like you see the rocket.
And there's some fun fins on those cars, man.
Yes.
Yeah, it's
fun very
scene.
much the part where you see what Los Angeles, and it touches on the scene of Los Angeles, which, to be fair, in the lore, they got hit first. You see, like the broadcast, president's nowhere to be seen. Peace talks have broken down. And like the mother of the child at the party is like, turns off. We don't want to hear it. There's no sirens. It's just you see a cloud off. And then his character takes, before we get to that, like that's him. And this is the intro. He gets his daughter on the horse and he rides off. Well, now the first question I have, what I was thinking when they did this, I go, this is either the most interesting thing or nuclear weapons in this universe do not function like ours.
Yeah, I don't think they do. But there's another like kind of key thing right before he rides off. You kind of get to see just how fast society falls apart. Like these people who are having this party, who are enjoying each other's company, all of a sudden the blasts hit. They realize it. Well, they realize it once the windows go out. Visually, that was amazing. But once they get that concussive impact of just, the whatever you call it,
when the explosion goes off, it sucks all the oxygen out of an area.
Yeah.
And then it blows
I love the look of that blast, but the actual breakdown of society that happens there, you just get this very quick visual glance of it. But, they're celebrating together. Then the family runs to their fallout shelter. And while they're doing that, the neighbor is like, hey, let us in. And it devolves into a fist fight of there's not enough room for you. Just the fact that they were able to like throw that in, it really sets the stage for what type of world this is going to be going forward. But I just thought those opening 7 minutes are just amazing. It's like a great short film into itself. There's just so much going on with a lot of showing and not telling. It's amazing.
He plays a bigger role because not only is he the ghoul, he's integral to the part of the promotion and everything else.
Walt Goggins is the man. That dude is amazing.
So it's very weird, right? Like how, because weapons work very different, right? I would have thought that, What I didn't know, and I was very speculative about this, is how much the developers had their hand in there. I would assume I was very weird about how much up their ass, like GW style, was Bethesda going to have of control of this. And it appears a lot more than you guess. They did not let them. I'm going to give heads up on this series. It is good. They may butcher lore to a degree, but
it seems like
Bethesda
they have some respect
had
for
their
it, though.
hand right up these directors' asses.
Good, I guess. So visually, they're still able, and story wise, they're still able to make something really compelling, even with their hand up their ass, if you will. I love the fact that they were able to do that with this.
Well,
as
what
opposed
I
to like what they
mean
did with
by
Halo,
that is,
where
I
there
mean,
are these Halo storylines that they just butchered, man. Reach and God damn it, the Flood, and there's like two other ones that they threw into one season that just don't make sense.
When I mean
with this,
when I mean they do, when I mean he had the hand up their ass, I meant they did not let them deviate and put their own crap in it.
Which is great.
They said, you're creating Fallout, you're going to make Fallout.
I'm glad that is the case, if that's what's going on with this. Because with that guy, the guy who did, now I'm blanking on his name, but the guy who did Westworld for HBO,
Jonathan Nolan.
Thank you. He wrote and directed, I think you said the first 3 on this, or I think he wrote the first one, but directed
He
the
directed
first 3
all
on
8
this.
episodes, but he
did he? Nice.
He had direct script writing and development in the first 3.
Nice. I completely got that wrong, so thank you for correcting me on that. But what he was able to do with like the storytelling of just like that opening like 7 minutes, he is putting his little spin on it, but I'm glad that it still fits within the lore of the universe, because what they did with Halo, man, it does not fit their lore at all, and they broke it for a shitty version of trying to tell the story via, I guess, visuals. They just dropped the ball so hard in that show. So I'm really glad that I don't see that going on here, and you're not saying that it's going forward. So, hell yeah. But man, it feels like they actually respect the source material, which I also got that feeling from Westworld. Sorry, you were saying you have to.
So resist? You have to, like, if you are familiar with the games, I know Vincent, you will love this. So you go and it opens up with, after that, shows a thing. Like, he goes to Lucy McLean. She's in the vault. She goes, I'm like Vault News. I'm like the daughter of the overseer. And it's like, yeah, this is a scene only people who have ever played Fallout will ever understand. Like, what's your test score kind of thing. I'm good at repair, science, and melee.
It kind of makes sense. Like, it is, a lot of exposition that she's giving. Like, I'm this type of character, but in this sense,
you gotta understand that is the special exam.
Yeah. And the fact that she's doing it for the exam kind of makes sense for the exposition that she's giving and the character like introduction. So I don't know. I don't dislike that version of this and all the exposition you get to
you're
know
coming in here
who
as
this
a
character
normie.
is.
You don't
know
the significance of that. That's
but
the Vault Dweller introduction.
That kind of works.
That's like the player character. You go what you're good at. Because but I'm not good at firearms.
She looked decent from the
but I know
little
medical,
montage that we got to see.
I do medical, so science. And like, that's your perk skill system. See, Vincent would know what I'm talking about.
And if anyone plays like Fallout, a really fun and clever way. It just feels like a clever way to not only do the exposition, but do it in a way that makes sense for normies, but then also to give a wink to the actual game players. I think that was done really well.
Because it's in the vault, you have a job, what you're good at, what you're doing? Like, she goes, but I was on the fencing team and did this, but I didn't excel at rifles. By the way, I'm not gonna. There's stuff I can nitpick in this. I hate the vault system in this. The vault rule system is. You can tell this is a different universe. I'm really hoping it turns out to be, because if they do the Fallout 76 thing, this is canon. You can go bite me. But the idea, it's one vault, and it's just her in an interview, and she wants to go do. She can't find Mary. I mean, they actually throw the joke. It's like, but I want to marry someone not from the pool. I want to go to another person from another vault. Now, like, okay, it's the internal, like, apparently after 200 years, genetics break down kind of thing. Like, oh, you might be marrying your distant relatives, but eventually the genetics break down. It's like the internal, like, if you've ever played the game, how they talked how vaults were actually supposed to be able to function. Like the long-term vaults, they assumed people might have to stay below ground for like 100, 200 years. And the level of interbreeding, so to speak, would happen. Because I just want to marry someone who's not my cousin. Okay, fine. And then they open the door to Vault 32. Now, you know that her mother was from a different vault. Or vault, probably.
Yeah, and we don't know anything about her mother. I think the only backstory we get is that she's no longer
She's
there.
no longer
So I'm assuming that means dead, but I don't actually. I guess it didn't specifically say that, so I don't know anything
the
other than.
concept is she does look, and then eventually the people come over. They don't know the state, and it's this good little wedding scene. Very much like whatever, because this was a vault meant to sustain itself. This wasn't a vault that was an experiment. And then it eventually turns out that the person's a raider. And then they all start massacring people in the vault. Because right before this, you see her brother go over and find dead crops. It's been dead longer than a year.
They were also kind of giving clues, like the people looked unkempt. They didn't seem to know any sort of like table manners. And I think there was
like
one
she
other thing
asked
where they
about
asked
sperm
about,
count and his other stuff. And it's like, that would have been standard vault procedure.
Yeah, that kind of made sense. I didn't know that would have been standard vault procedure or whatever, so that just seemed like a weird, awkward conversation to me. But that makes sense. That's yet another way of knowing that, like, okay, these people aren't who they say they are. But they gave it kind of subtly, at least 4 or 5 different times, that you should be weary of these people. Turns out for good reason. But yeah, the brother's the first
And
one
then the
to
wedding,
truly
and
know.
then there's a whole bunch of stuff, and that's father, like people get killed. It's like, it's very like cliche, and that's Lucy's introduction. Like,
yeah, but it's beyond. I wouldn't say it's necessarily cliche. I thought from her experience, she just got married. Her new husband's a little weird, but
I'm sorry,
they go and
they have
consummate the
actual
marriage.
weapons in the vault, but you don't bring them out knowing you got attacked. Like,
It looks like somebody
whole...
tried to. Like, I think there was blood outside of the armory, and there was one dead person right next to it. So I think they were trying to, but like at a wedding, are you just going to have armed guards?
Well, to be fair, did they go? There's a lot of questions. Did the Raiders go for the armories first, or so? It's weird.
We don't know, because we got to experience it through Lucy's perspective, and through her perspective, she just got married to a weird guy, and now they're consummating the marriage, and then went
he
to
didn't
bed.
seem like a vault, and the series is MA.
Yeah,
very
they
MA.
go for pretty mature.
There's no like overt nudity. There's a couple of scenes.
Oh, I don't know, man. You get to see that dude's ass a couple times. No,
what you mean? She just does them. Yeah, like it's the concept of like it's a vault. They've been sheltered underground. Like it's means to survive. There's like no religion. Like, and then she eventually like
chooses to leave, and that's like her introduction. Like hers concludes with her father is there, like after they subdue the big ones. The person who's the leader of the Raiders basically gives the father a choice to either A, sacrifice members of the people or choose the daughter. He puts the daughter away into a thing, and they shrink him and take him to the surface. And then she's like, you could tell something's off. If she was an actual Raider, she would have actually killed all those people. She goes,
you'd assume you wouldn't leave
people, the bomb.
I do have a question for you, because so the father is given, so the Raiders end up hurting a lot of people and killing even more, but the group that they have kind of together, it looks like it's the father, and then I think it's about 5 or 6 people, and then Lucy walks into the room, and they give the father a choice, her or them. What does that choice mean? Because the way that the scene ends, I don't know. I'm not sure how much I want to spoil or whatever, but it doesn't seem to be anything happen to either of them. So I'm not sure what that choice means. I don't know. That part still confuses me.
You're going to need to learn to follow each of these characters. There's a lot of dialogue between. She goes, when she sees who the overseer. Now, there's a thing in this system I wasn't sure about. How does the person know about the above world? They're like, oh, next generation, people will be able to reemerge and take over Reclamation Day. That's what they've been working towards. And that's
like
actually...
they've got like an in-ground kind of news thing. Like they're able to communicate because, like her application went to the other vault and then was accepted. So there's some sort of communication, but you're right. It doesn't explain how they know about the outside world.
So, there's Raiders, and she goes, oh, you're a Raider. They have common knowledge of Raiders above.
For sure.
But you don't realize it, like... And then she knows who Moldiver is. And she's like, do you know who I am? Because, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I know who you are. Father looks, and that's the scene before. And so they can't go into 32 or elsewhere or explore it. She blows up the bomb and it caves in the entrance. Now there's a little thing, and she decides to go to the surface to look for her father because the vault's like, well, he was taken. I'm not going to go look for him.
Yeah, she tries to bring it to the group. They don't seem very courageous at all. So she does seem to be the most courageous of the entire bunch.
And then it's the thing of you need to go to the surface to go do that. That's literally the player's character when you come out of the vault in like any of the games.
Yeah, which makes sense. And it's actually
except for the year the courier.
As one who plays the game more, does that intro to the character, does that work for you? Does it feel like they did that well? Cool.
Yes. Do I do not like does her combat system annoy me? She would be dead 10 times over.
Well, you'd make a different choice, Well, and then that's the other thing too, like her choice for combat, like I don't know. She gets what is it called? Where it's shooting the syringes? Like, is it syringe gun? But like, she keeps passing by bodies that have real guns and stuff, but she isn't going for it. Like, come on. She should have grabbed some real weapons.
The first thing you do in Fallout 3 when you leave the vault, you have like a BB gun or something. You go fight a Raider. You go pick up a damn rifle.
Right? I wish she had
They know about real guns. You're literally trained to use them.
Yeah, she was trained on rifles. She's just not good.
You don't have to be good.
I thought that was a good introduction to Lucy. Does it immediately cut from there to, is it Magnus at that point? Maximus, sorry. Yeah.
It shows Maximus's origin, and it shows him. He was a kid hiding in a blast from a refrigerator.
Yeah, like Indiana Jones. Just saying. Worst movie ever. But yeah, so he hid from the blast in a lead-lined fridge because, you know, we know that that'd work. And then he meets one of the
Brotherhood of
so
Steel.
yeah, I was gonna say, would you call them just knights or
One of the knights, yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of cool. So as a kid, he has this I don't know, it keeps showing them from a very low angle, kind of showing again kind of the godlike figure that he's making of these heroic knights.
Yeah.
You know, it kind of leads to some character
He
development.
got rescued by the Brotherhood of Steel because the Brotherhood of Steel, first off, it does irk me. They someone doesn't know how to write Brotherhood of Steel lore. But
And that
because
the exposition seemed really on the nose to me. Where like these guys, so he's been with the Brotherhood since he was a
no,
kid.
you get to the
Now
part where
he's in
you
his like
first see
20s.
him and then they proceed like, yeah, it makes sense. They're like soldiers training for war and they're fighting in the camp.
For sure,
Like,
that part makes sense. But then like they get into the class and he's like, what is it that we do? And it's like, wait, why would you be telling these people who are like, what, 10 years into education here? What is it that we do? Like, they should know that
well,
10 years
okay.
into
Here's the
this.
thing.
It felt like
This is
forced
just to
exposition
give
to
you a
me.
context. This is 2292. Every Brotherhood of Steel chapter is utterly different. To be fair, the original Brotherhood was very selective. So you would have your common soldiers, you would have your knights, you would have this, but they were very selective. They always hunted technology, but it doesn't mean that later generations knew what technology looked like. Sometimes,
No, but I mean, 10 years into your education, you know, it's not going to be like, so what do we do? That's right. We're looking for hidden technology, for lost technology. And then we, you know, keep it, not archive it. I can't remember exact words, but it feels like that's for the audience's, you know, benefit. Like these guys would obviously know what they do as Brotherhood of the Steel, but maybe I'm being very nitpicky. Just I felt like the way that they were able to kind of work in what type of character Lucy is, that really worked for me. Where when they got to the Brotherhood of
well,
Steel,
you
it
would
felt really
assume a
forced.
lot of people who are already subpar, they don't know what advanced technology looks like and what does it. And he's like, well, it's not what this is or whatever else. And he gets it entirely wrong because you need to know what you're looking for. Like, it's a very big part of maybe they were educating people. And it's always wondered to me, like, in Fallout, one or two things was going to happen. You were always going to have people rebuild society, or to a degree, or it's going to literally be you're going to have a degrading of technology. And that's
For
a
sure.
part of a plot later on, overarching discussion. But when we get to that episode, you're going to really see because when the meta of the universe eventually starts folding together, like
Yeah, and I definitely haven't gotten there yet.
when
I thought
you
it was on the nose where you could have used that same scene, like the okay, what is this, and have him try
you're
and
on
say what
episode
diagram is
2
of.
and there's a lot of you think it's this player meditary commentary. There's people who know about things in the world, but they don't say it. So there's a thing of where there's a party, like next thing you know, like they're they're in the classroom, and then they call it the Causewayne or Corswain, which is named after King Arthur's boat.
Mm.
By the way,
Yeah, that name sounded familiar. I didn't know where, but yeah, that makes sense if it's
or
Arthur's.
Prydwen. Like Prydwen was originally named. That was actually the name of King Arthur's boat, but they call it the Causeway in this one. And they see the people. The apparently Brotherhood of Steel have T60, which
It would make sense they would have T60, but how many suits of T60 is the question. And let's assume this is the chapter in California in 2292 that the NCR is supposed to exist. But I'll put a pin in that one. But there is no mentioning of the NCR in this one. That's the first big deal breaker. You can tell this is a different universe because they're just, that's not a spoiler for anybody. That is just, there is none. This is just assuming the Brotherhood's here.
Okay.
That is
kind of
then you get to, there's a selection of someone supposed to move up to be a squire.
Mm-hmm.
Dane gets moved up. Dane is Maximus's best friend. That is the same person who plays the Scargiver in Rebel Moon. Zilia. So
she's gonna have a movie debuting, I think, next week. So hell yeah, good for her. It's a good time for her.
But to be fair, it's where you get, like, I think a lot of it makes sense. You say maybe Maximus is like a coward.
Oh, it's not maybe. Like, he definitely is playing it hard. That like he doesn't have much confidence in himself, and he's really kind of meager and like it's hard for him to even say words to
he's supposed to be the cowardly hero.
For sure. He's really playing that up.
Now,
although he does kind of come in clutch in the future. But he gets
brand because something happens to Dane. What's funny is they give her the name Dane, and Dane's the name of the paladin from Fallout 4.
I didn't even know that. I didn't make it up to 4. So, maybe she'll have a return.
But she gets herself injured or gets injured. They think, and they haul him off to, as I guess, a replacement squire for the night.
And it's a little unclear. So they suspect him of being the one who booby trapped her boot that injures her. Do you think he did? I was left a little unsure. No. He still had this fucked up thought that he confesses to, that he wanted that to happen, but he doesn't confess to actually having that happen. And I don't know, man. I get it. This is a cutthroat world, but
it hints at the state of the Brotherhood of Steel. Like, this is definitely, I mean, it's not like the Brotherhood of Steel hasn't broken down. It's like amazing feat that even training regimen, you still have kids in the program. You still have like youth kind of thing. That, like, the idea of the system is you have a mentor system, but you're taking the best of the best, but you don't have the numbers, and there's only X amount of power armors to go around. Like,
which makes sense. Again, limited technology in this post-apocalyptic world.
So the other part is, and then it leaves, right? Because they have like a mission kind of thing. That because they go searching for somebody who orders from the Commonwealth. So I guess they're assuming they're getting communications from the Commonwealth out east. Now the question is, what is the state of the Commonwealth's Brotherhood? I can only imagine, because judging by the Brotherhood out west, I can pretty rest assured there's a good reason you could not side with them, even though most people side with the Brotherhood of Steel. If you have to side in 4. But there's also good reasons to actually take them out, which was very clear in this show later on. Brotherhood will always be the Brotherhood. They don't ever change, to be honest. That's that's the game lore that kicks in. They always search for technology, and then they're the canonical
kind of borderline good guy, evil guys. It's only modern games that have tried to rehab them and say they give a shit about the community. But there's the other half of the Brotherhood that doesn't care. They only care about the mission.
That kind of makes sense, and that's kind of what they're putting forward in this one.
Yeah, they don't.
There's a really kind of messed up interview with Maximus where they're kind of accusing him of a crime, and then based on his answers, he actually gets to replace Dane as the next squire in training or whatever. So that's kind of fun. And then we get to see a knight up close, which is I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool seeing the power armor as a more of a less casual, if you will. What did you think of the power armor? Does it seem legit? Like it felt like it had weight to
a
me.
Degree, yes, it has degree. They do have the weight of the power armor. Like there's goods and bads in it, but it's the same thing. I'll have a nitpick when you get to the later episodes, because the concept of it is rather interesting. And then you get to see right where he leaves to go on whatever mission he's supposed to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Forget.
And it looked kind of freaky. The knight has, no concern about him, is able to basically fly up into the leaving vehicle, and he barely makes it on before they take off. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of a fun little bit of visual storytelling as well, just how low a squire
then
is.
The last introduction is the ghoul.
Yeah.
Which is Goggins' character.
Mm-hmm. And I think the makeup on that is just amazing. I really like that.
So it's three guys walking to a cemetery to dig up somebody. You already know.
Very westerny as well, which kind of fun. I do like the Old West, but this is the future Old West.
He pissed off the last big person in charge, and he's like, I'm just going to bury you in the ground, and you have your little chemicals or whatever else. And
yeah, I wasn't sure exactly what those 2 IV bags that were dripping into his coffin were.
Technically, in lore, it's if the ghouls don't have this chemical, they go feral.
Oh, okay. So it's preventing him from going feral. Ah, nice. Because there is a test that these 3, I guess you'd call them bounty hunters, have.
Yeah.
I remember there's a bigger guy that they named Slim, but I don't remember the other 2 names of these bounty hunters. But yeah, they have a test for him to see if he's gone feral, and if he has, he couldn't resist a chicken. So I don't know. You get this danger of an animal situation going on as well. I really dug that, man. Like this whole scene had some tension to it for me, and I thought it was just shot beautifully.
This is where you see his skills, right? So he comes out, I guess he got buried alive or something. Like how he, don't know, maybe he could have busted out of there. Like initial. And I'm like, so if you remember the opening scene, somehow he's going to absorb radiation and become a ghoul.
Yeah, and apparently the guy who put him in the ground is also taking parts of him, apparently. So we don't know what parts, but yeah.
Well, he would punish him. I guess he did something. It's like, I'm not going to kill you. I'm just going to keep you and do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The Dawn or whatever. It's like, okay, so they get him, dig him up, and then he doesn't go feral. And
well, you're not sure initially.
He's actually, to be fair,
once he notices the chicken, he kind of goes for it, which I gotta say, as one who loves animals and birds and such, even if they're not real, I was kind of concerned. It brought some tension into me. Like, okay, am I going to see a guy munch down on a chicken right now? Dude, I love the tension, not only between him and the animal, but him and the 3.
But they also know, I want you to understand, the fat white guy's armed with a junk jet.
His name was Slim, okay? Slim was armed with the junk jet.
You don't know what a junk jet is.
I saw what it could do. It really it did some damage to the other guy, the unnamed third member of the party. In this, it looked kind of like a machine gun, but what does the jump jet do? Oh wait, no, sorry, that was the other one. Sorry, wasn't it a banana that they shot? No, I can't remember exactly. Oh no,
It shoots junk.
it was a baby arm. I'm sorry, I forgot what it shot out there. Yes.
Yes, it shoots junk. Yes, junk jet. Forget.
That makes a lot of sense. You're going to find a lot of
That's
that
the
as opposed to
thing.
bullets. So, yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
it literally is. It's like one of the weird classic weaponry. And I really wish it would be in Fallout 76, but it will never be there. It
Well, it seemed
actually
rather effective. They were able to take
it
out one guard
actually
with that.
in the games, like Fallout 3, I think it's even Fallout 4, is a junk jet that it just shoots junk from your inventory. And you recollect it later.
Oh, that's kind of awesome. So I didn't notice that Easter egg, if you will, as a casual. But yeah, I did notice that they were able to take out a guard with a baby arm. So that would make sense what shot that. So I guess that was Slim
Yeah,
that took out
baby
the guard
arms.
in the
So.
initial.
And he's like
Yeah.
searching. There's another guy with like a shotgun, that type of thing. And he's like, you think, oh, he's going to go feral. They'll put him down.
Mm-hmm. And they do the bad guy trope of explaining exactly what they need, who's the bounty, why they dug him up and need his particular skills. But they've told him
Now,
too
if you
much.
catch, you've introduced the good character, you have the neutral character, and he's the evil character.
And I think it says each person's name as it introduces them. So it does introduce him as the ghoul. So with a name like Ghoul, you don't assume they're going to be the hero in the story, but fair enough.
So he has the whole thing of you want to dig him up for a bounty, and the guy threatens him. And he's like, well, I'm going to do one last job. And we'd all be like, if you capture this guy, take him back.
And it is the trope
To the
of
mole diver.
one last job, and then I'm retired.
Then he introduces, he goes, bear in mind, he's been alive for 219 plus years. And if you know who the character is, he was probably 40 years old or 50 years old before the blast, the war. So he's probably 260. Because you know who he is. Like, pure by
Well, I mean, Walt Goggins does have a certain power to just being himself. But yeah, I'm a bit too casual to know even.
It's actually implied
in
the show, it's him. And he's like, well, but every time I hear one last job, their heart's never in it. It's like it's a good little speech.
Yeah.
He proceeds, they go, oh, we need to put him down. Like, tries to shoot him with the thing. And it's like, ghouls are hard to put down.
Yeah.
So
even if you got the baby arm gun,
it's like he takes the one guy, and it's like you see his skills. He's good with small arms, riflery, and like criticals. One of the big things is this is where you see the really big with the EC, if you know the game. He shoots people with what it's called bloody mess. That is a nod. That means the actual creators had a hand in this.
It definitely looks like somebody actually paid attention to it, which is amazing because
that's like his he has like the main abilities, like he has good with like weapons, kind of thing. And then he has like a subset
puts
skill
the show on a different level.
Like it's like when he shoots anybody, there's like always holes type shoots. Like, because that's the meme. I was like laughing. I'm like, okay, so they got this in a nutshell. And he takes the guy out, and that's his. And he goes, well, why would you want me anyway? It's like right before I goes, oh, you're from here. He goes, parks up kind of. He goes, how do you know I'm from California, like city? Like you know it's him because he was an actor or whatever. And he still recalls enough. Like, and he just takes out these guys and kills them.
Like,
it
except for the
is.
black guy, he just kicks the guy down into a grave. But
It's a little more than that, though. He has those same chains that they use to free him wrapped around his face. So I don't know, man. Going backwards into a grave by your face, I'd have to think you're not among the living anymore after that. But
it's
yeah,
implied.
it was pretty awesome, though. They really are going pretty hard on the violence in this. I'm digging it, man. It's gory, but not over the top. But they're earning that MA rating.
I mean, and that's the introduction. I mean, you got the 3 basic characters. Like, these will be the characters we follow all 8 episodes.
Yeah, and I'm excited to. So I made it through one more episode. Really enjoyed that one. It had more action and in a really good way. So I'm excited to see the next ones. I just chose sleep over actually watching it, so I should
True.
probably do that. But yeah, you made it through almost everything. Does it hold up? So I really enjoyed this first episode.
Well,
It
I
had me
didn't know
pretty
they were
hooked.
going to dump all.
Neither did I, man. So like with their other ones, Reacher and with Wheel of Time, I think even the Rings of Power thing, they didn't dump it all at once. It was weekly. You keep getting episodes dropped. So when I saw that they dropped all 8 at once, that didn't bode well for me. I kind of thought, oh shit, are we going to get a Halo situation? But man, I really liked the quality of 1 and 2. Does it hold up for you? Does it seem like there's a drop off in quality anywhere along this season so far?
I mean, it seems. I'll be honest. The Brotherhood of Steel stuff is weird, but
Yeah,
it doesn't. It's not the strongest of pace. Like
he is the one character that I don't like. I would like to see the Ghoul, and I'd like to see Lucy more. But fair enough. I understand why you need the Brotherhood there.
No, I mean Brotherhood of Steel. It's weird. It comes together good. Like the coming together is the more important part.
Good.
Like it does annoy me a little bit. Even in the first episode, you go in, she's venturing out. Even though she's good in melee, she knows she needs range, but she doesn't pick up guns. It's like
nothing, just the fucking syringe one, which I don't know. Like, okay, yeah. Like,
maybe you're out there, you don't equip yourself, but in reality, is they try to keep a realism too, and like get into later because I want people to see it. Like if they binge watch a couple episodes, sure, because some of the dialogue. The stuff goes in from one episode to another. I mean, realistically, if you had seen all 3 episodes, maybe you touch on the other. But the taste of it is, it's very much like packed full of stuff like Shogun, right? There's a reason everyone fears Moldiver.
Yeah, I definitely want to know more. It is kind of a mystery, but everyone seems to know who that character is, including the father who had never been outside.
There's one mystery about her that is never answered, and I wish they would have answered it. It'll get to the end, you finally, they say who she is. Award people, this is going to be the twist payoff. There's a lot of twists and turns. But there's twist. People who've seen it know what it is.
So far, there's a lot of threads that I hope they pull together. So I'm looking forward to this. I know that they definitely did, or the guy definitely did with Westworld. So I'm hoping they kind of are able to keep that in and at least give kind of a Westworld season 1.
I mean, they haven't announced a second season yet, which surprises me.
I am seeing a bunch of everything on this. Like it seems to be hitting my Twitter feed and my YouTube feed pretty hard. I'd be surprised if they're not going to give them.
I mean, someone was saying it's surprisingly not like woke-ish. The thing about this is, you think it does have a tinge of modern Bethesda in it.
that
Yeah, I mean,
there is
so
a
like with the
small
girl
thing.
fight, sorry, with the girl fight, with Lucy's fight with her new husband, they could have made that, like she has training so she could just kick the shit out of him. They didn't go that route. Like he beats the shit out of her, and then she
I
kind of
thought
gets
that was
the worst
weird.
end of
I'm
that.
like, she's trained in fencing and combat sports. She should be able to fight him to a degree. But she gets
I'm just saying, if they wanted
stabbed.
to go woke, they didn't in that. Like he beats her, he's able to like throw her against many different surfaces, and she's not able to really overpower him. I don't think they're going woke with this, just from that first episode alone. But I could be wrong. I haven't seen much more than that.
To be
So
fair, if you look even at the vault, it's more female led than male.
yeah, which makes sense. Females would kind of be super valuable there, as
I mean,
they
I
could
know
actually
you
like
like. I know
bring on
you're
the
gonna
next
be. I know who your
generation.
favorite's gonna be in the vault. It's gonna be
Is
Woody.
Velma there?
Woody.
Oh,
That black guy.
oh, I did. Okay, we'll see.
Woody.
I do enjoy me and Woody.
No,
Um,
it's weird.
uh,
They went where I thought they were gonna go. Once
Is that a
you,
good thing or is that a bad thing?
I'll give a hint. It looks like it's written by somebody who had like a game plot design that got canceled. You're at the second episode. You already began to see it.
Okay, fair enough.
It goes into a climax.
Climaxes
That
are good.
follows, and it leads off with a teaser. And it's a hell of a teaser. And let me tell you this. The canon ending, as confirmed by Bethesda now, and this might piss off Vincent or whoever played Fallout New Vegas, is Yes Man. Let that sink into people.
Well,
that is apparently the canon ending to Fallout. Which, New Vegas at least. And I think that is the least done ending of every ending, I swear. Because Yes Man is basically independent Vegas. House dies, Caesar dies. The NCR gets kicked out.
Those don't mean things to me, but I'm sure that means something to somebody, and somebody's probably yelling spoilers. But fair enough.
No one really knows, but it's not even like, if you've not played Vegas and in 10 years, you're never gonna fucking play it.
Yeah, I know I'm not. I kind of
Vegas is good to a
stay
degree.
Away from Vegas, so I just never.
No, I have it. It's good. Like I did the ending. I just did the house ending the other day. I have it where I could do the Caesar ending. I have that. I can go do the NCR ending. But as far as story, it's good. But as far as other stuff, it's not so great. It's like definitely mechanics where the problem with New Vegas is, and New Vegas does play into, is let's say there's a teasers involved. There is a retconning of an event that is, as far as we only know, the retcon, and they gave it a little bit of the 76 treatment and said it's all canon or so. It's like, I can't buy that because there is a timeline that they have to go with. I think this is a test timeline someone had for a game that got tossed out the window, but it works. I mean, to be fair, you're dealing with the West Coast. At least it
kind of works. Like, I don't know. There's a lot of these that don't work. Like we mentioned Halo numerous times now. No part of that works. So as long as you're a fan and you're saying this kind of works, that seems like a huge victory.
So the idea,
a lot of these adaptations lately,
if it's on West Coast and if you're expecting NCR, do not expect it. There is no mention of the NCR in this episode, any of these episodes. It is just hinted that California is California. It's descended into a wasteland.
I don't know how we missed it, but it looks like a Partis asked you a question. Can ghouls reproduce? They can't
No.
remember. I didn't think they could, but I know that they can be kind of made. I don't know.
Ghouls can't reproduce, nor can super mutants. They're sterile.
Okay. That makes sense. A lot of things do get sterile from, radiation.
No, it's because ghouls are in a state of undeath.
Mm.
Like, as you see from the ghoul in the opening, right? He can take a lot of punishment.
Yeah, for sure.
He can
And he
literally
does
probably
in
lose it. He
later
can lose a
episodes.
limb and just he resews it back on.
They did mention that he keeps getting parts of him taken away by whoever put him in the ground. So that makes sense.
Why would you have a race of immortal people and you think they can reproduce? That's weird. No, it ain't gonna matter. Come on, even in a Highlander, they're sterile.
Hmm.
Now the question is ultimately in between ghouls and radiation, how much and how long does it take for them to become ghouls?
For sure.
Because they're able to maintain looks for so long and then their looks just fade. Like skin flakes off and then you just look like skinless. Like it's like if you ever see Fallout 3, the people in the Underworld Museum or the city, the Underworld, they're like one was a younger girl, like she didn't turn immediately, she just survived. Her dad was basically turned into a shadow.
Oof.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Not dead. He was vaporized. But she stands and she still maintains some of her looks for like years, but she started losing her overskin and stuff like that. Like even in this world, ghouls aren't even tolerated. Like, I mean, I guess it would be a hint that but late ghouls like Mayor Hancock in Fallout 4 was a later ghoul, post-war ghoul. But a lot of it, there's no perm science.
I'm just glad that because I'm very much a casual in this, but I'm enjoying everything that I'm seeing. Like just as not knowing the lore, it's really entertaining, and I want to know more about these characters. So,
well, to be fair, okay, censorship, yeah, they do, but it's like the concept of the ghouls and super mutants, even then, right? Because you do have a level of advanced science. Because there's big payoffs in the story later on. I mean, I don't really want to give away. I mean, we could touch on. I mean, the other, like, you want to go into a little bit, but I kind of prefer to go into episode by episode.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's pretty much the end of the episode. I think you should go with your initial plan. I just watched the other one, so I guess I want to talk about the other part. But yeah, we don't have to, man. This is
there's
just
a couple
one.
we could do together. Like that makes sense, but there's a lot of details in one episode.
I bet, and I bet a lot of them
you're already seeing it
as a casual.
You're seeing it. Mm-hmm. Because when you start getting to the second episode, you start establishing the world.
Yeah, and it's a fun world. I guess you got a taste of it with the bounty hunters who are very old westerny, but and also the ghoul. But
I'll have to talk.
This is an interesting world.
It's a very much a world it's interesting in what they created, because to be fair, like Maximus's Night is really shitty. Like, it's so weird. Like, I hate the Brotherhood of Steel, like how they're doing it. Like Maximus is by far an insufferable character. It's like someone saw Disney's Finn and wanted to double down at some points. Like, I just don't like it. How you explain the Brotherhood of Steel, you cannot have a strong enemy, strong smart enemy, and a strong stupid enemy. That borderline's retarded. If that makes sense.
It does. I really don't like the depiction of Maximus. Like, I would have to
Even
assume
look
that
at the camp.
you would be harder living in this world. Like, you wouldn't be too afraid to speak. I could understand being like, so
there's a scene
subordinate
later
that you
on
don't.
when you
But
get to
man,
there's a scene later on. I'm going to want your opinion of it when you get to it. I know
but
when you
I do
hit
get
the
Finn
dialogue.
vibes, but Finn was at least courageous. Like, I don't get any of that from
Assume he's the
Maximus.
timid, cowardly hero.
Okay. Well, I am looking forward to it, but I gotta say his is the storyline I'm liking the least. But fair enough. I guess he is supposed to be kind of the neutral one, so yeah.
I'm assuming you established the one is good.
It seems like it. Naive but good.
They're doing
and
the
then,
karmatic system in the game. Like, from the game, it's like the ghoul doesn't mind murdering people. But, I mean, to be fair, though, the karma system has always been an asinine system in the first place. It's like, I get told to, like I found something out, like in New Vegas, like, I had a person as my companion because apparently I screwed up, and I went, like, I'm like, what's my companion now following me? Oh. So I had to go back and get her, and I'm just like, I can't follow you because you're evil. I'm just like, what did I do to gain evil karma? I just look out, like, because New Vegas doesn't exactly explain the whole karma system in any ways. It's like you can have bad karma from stealing, but like then I guess killing good people. But I didn't kill any good people. Caesar's Legion is not good. But it's like that's how they run the show. Like they have Maximus is the neutral one. Like,
yeah, I didn't pick that up, but you kind of mentioning that, it's like, oh, that does kind of make sense. So yeah, as a casual, that didn't quite make the transition or translation to me. But
well, and to be
yeah,
fair,
I get it.
He's a gunslinger and bounty hunter, so his stuff is naturally like guns, pistolier. Like he has like his specialties are quick shot and bloody mess. That's why literally, like, you're gonna see the entire show. He shoots people. It always goes through people,
and it's pretty awesome too. Yeah, I guess that would be getting into episode 2, but episode 2, there's some amazing action in it.
Yeah, I don't know. I looked at it like it'd be hard to see, right? I could see them if they could maintain this direction. You could do a pre-war. Like, the series does good. The idea is there's always if you're not hooked by the first episode or second, give it like a couple of episodes. You need to, like, if the first episode, just give it like 2 episodes. Like, even by the third, like by the third if you're uncertain. But like, it's either you're going to be grabbed in the first or second episode.
Yeah, I know a lot of casuals have been grabbed by it and are really digging it. So
some people,
I
like,
hope
it's funny.
announce season 2 soon.
I saw Yellow Flash was like, well, good, I'll give it a try today. It's like, I guess people thought it was going to be a mess. I'm like,
I mean, if you look at like all these previous reboots and reimaginings and whatever you want to call it, like adaptations, they haven't been good as of late. It's really hard to find one that lives up to the source material, but we've got a couple. We were talking about a couple of them today. So I don't know, man. This gives me hope that some of these other announced projects may not suck. I don't know. Maybe we're over that whole let me reimagine it my way. Screw what the original thing was. Maybe they're going to now start doing these adaptations with some sort of reverence for the source material. That bodes really well to me. You know, I hope they really do. But who knows? You know, perhaps this is a one-off and we'll get the next Halo next. Who knows?
I mean, when you... I was going to say, like, when you actually get there, when you actually get through it, I do have a weird, like, you would have to probably brush up on the lore. Like, but
definitely going to be caught up with us by the end of the weekend. So maybe we can do like a more in-depth one sometime in the future, because I need to brush up on the lore, but I get a feeling that you know it way better than
you need to
I would, even when I brush up on it.
You need to actually, as I say, you need to catch up on. You need to start watching Shogun, sir.
Yeah, I will. Unfortunately, I think next weekend's super busy, but the weekend after that, I will completely binge through all of Shogun.
Mm-hmm.
But looking forward to talking about that, man. I hear nothing but good things.
We could.
I just was waiting for it to all come out.
There's interesting. See, other projects I have, I just took a week off. I've just been doing gaming, I guess. It's funny when people come out for Diablo 4 and others. It's so weird.
Hey,
like,
D4 is awesome, man. I love that
you
game.
need to
I
get
gotta
on.
get back into
I
it.
need to get back.
I know.
I've been doing the other. And I will say, if you have Fallout 76, or you log back in, you're getting a free companion in terms of a Brotherhood of Steel guy, as well as a free outfit for the whole thing. But I think you have to have Amazon Prime. And companions are well, they sit around your base, but they have their own. And you also get the free. You actually get the free. It's a free outfit. But I was like, they're gonna give us a free outfit. No, but we get like a free. It's free for all players. It's a free companion to guard your base and free outfit in the term of the Gould outfit, sheriff guy. In Fallout 76.
Not bad, man.
And usually companions are very expensive. Like one they had like over the thing, it's literally cost 4,000 gold bullion in the game to get, and he was only like 1,200 atoms. I was like, well, that's a little steal, but to be fair, like if you ever use them. But no, I've been in between. It's kind of like projects and just it's one of those weeks I have stuff in various games to do, and I already finished. I was like, I got my character grinded up. I'm just like, ugh. But I could only play last night like 4.5 hours. Like I was,
yeah, man.
dying.
I wasted way too much time on the last season of it, and still
no,
didn't
I
do
don't mind it. All I'm trying to get is 200. It's like I don't care enough. I mean, next season's going to be a big rework. I'm just trying to get through the past. No, I just did not feel well yesterday.
Oof, sorry, man.
And apparently my OBS kept my stream, said I kept being live on YouTube, but I wasn't on YouTube.
I hate that shit. Mine was doing that when I was messing around with OBS.
What? So I had to take that down because it said I was like alive still. One of my friends was like, "You're still alive?" I'm like, "How could I be alive? I ended it." I'm like, well,
if this does well, do you think they're gonna do like Elder Scrolls TV shows or any of these other game ones?
I think you could break off and to go into some prehistory.
Like,
do you know?
Like I was really curious.
Like I don't want them to touch projects that I actually like care about because I feel like they've done it so shitty.
I would not trust
recently,
him with
but
Elder Scrolls. Elder Scrolls is a mess, but like Fallout's you could do. Like people forget how dystopian it really is because Fallout culture is literally a take on like the show touches on history that's been kind of hinted at, like because the setting is like 10 years or so, like after the great before the, let's set up, it is 10 years since the end of the resource war or so, like a couple of years, like I could easily see them touching upon like Operation Anchorage, a couple of other things. Maybe if they could nail the Brotherhood, you could go back and nail the Brotherhood origin. Like, but I don't see them. I would see it coming apart as like I don't think a team could maintain it. It would just be like you take stuff with an end and a story, but that's what you have to do. Like you can't be that critic wise. So like the story is awful. Pacing is key. Events building good, and it's the execution. Like I could easily see maybe an explanation series of global events, how you got there, but it makes sense. Like the Ghoul or Cooper Howard basically explains his life. He doesn't tell everybody in the modern era his past.
yeah, and it does seem like if that character is popular, or if the show is popular, you could use that character in different timelines.
You're
or
doing
whatever.
it in the season already.
Oh, nice! I did not realize that they were doing that, so I look forward to that. But you know what I mean? Like, it does feel like you could tell the other stories as well,
You could
even
go
using
back
that
to
same
Operation
character.
Anchorage, and he was at Operation Anchorage. I feel all in all, but the only thing that I think it goes, I do feel Maximus's story gets felt balls off. Like I might have to go back and rewatch some of it myself, at least the final parts, because I mean the twist you think would ruin it. It's interesting. Now, Fallout has a weird corporate consumerism, anyways.
For sure, there's definitely kind of a message that they're sending with it.
I mean, you're
There's a reason why they
literally
use like Nuka Cola and like make it look so much like other corporate images we know.
like there's a corruption and stuff. Like that's why I can't don't like spoilers. Like when you see the world of how it was, like it was a world pretty much set on. Like they never really touched on the resource war. What it is.
I was hoping they'd kind of flesh out a little bit more of the story, but maybe
They
they'll do that
haven't
in the
really,
future
I don't
seasons, like you
think, even
said.
in the games, like when you go into the DC museum, you see like the prehistory, but not
Mm.
up through the resource war.
Oh God, if they haven't done it in the games, then I hope they don't do it in the show because I
Because,
imagine it wouldn't be as good.
well, okay, here's basically to summarize the resource war. They tried to switch to other things, but uranium and other materials are really, instead of running out of oil, they started running out of uranium. You had a very crony corporate culture, but think of it as a very similar thing to like Mad Men in terms of cyberpunk style world. Like if you're
That
familiar with
sounds like a
cyberpunk,
weird
it's
combination. Yeah.
very because bear in mind cyberpunk's been around since the 80s, and the concept of it's like a dark corporatism, and except this one it's as much as people believe it.
And Partisans has a good point. I feel like if they made a show on the prehistory, it would not be good. It seems like they would mess up the whole story. And honestly, post-war is more entertaining. I fully agree with that.
Well,
I'm liking that it just picks up in this world instead of being
to
like,
be fair,
here's exactly what happened.
all you go back is you would go back like 10 years. You go back which led up to the events. I mean, establish the big companies.
It could definitely be done well. I just don't know if I trust, these genius idea types to
be fair,
not ruin
when you
a
see
property.
the execution of it,
Mhm.
what they lay
So far,
out,
I'm digging it, but
when you see the execution of it, they could pull it off. It's very Madman style when they finally get to that plot. Very.
Well, I'm looking forward to the end of the
A
season.
lot of it's going to go over people's heads, and I'll have to explain one particular scene. It's not going to make sense to people if you're not familiar with it, because they don't explain who these people are.
Well, hell yeah, man. I'm looking forward to like a full-on spoilers talk after this weekend, sometime when you've gone through the episodes. But hell yeah, man. I definitely, I figure I will have questions and we'll have to be coming to you for the expertise.
By the way, you know what's funny when you're going to actually see it? So there's a trick in the director. Who's his director that you see? Oh, you haven't seen the director yet.
I have not.
No?
I don't think so.
I'll have to talk to you off. They got the voice of the I think it's either in the second episode you see him or it's in the first.
Oh, you mean the actor in the night outfit? Is that who you're talking about? Or
no, his friend. Now I'll ask you off. You have not seen that character. You know who the character is. He's in the second. They got the voice of Cogsworth to be in the who does the Cogworth the box.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. He has a very interesting story. But the twist is good. I recommend people watch it. They have a lot of people. They pulled a lot of resources in. I mean, it would easily spiral. Like, basically, right, it would lead up. I mean, but when they reach a certain twist, that is based on a lot of theories. It's been in Fallout for years. But you'll know about it if it's in the game. But I think, so next week should be, unless we do something different. I don't have you. I might be able to pull somebody else. Gray?
Yeah, man.
You got
down if you want to talk about it more, but I'm definitely casual.
Thinkers.
We're definitely still doing Thinkers weekly, so I don't know. It's
and instead you're just going to take 420 off because you're just a stoner.
I enjoy celebrating certain days, and that is a day which must be celebrated. I don't know. I think Multi's trying to do a special.
Oh, I forgot he's going to do that. He's going to do that the 19th.
I think it's 420 now. But he made a supercut, which supercut generally implies less than 5.5 hours to me. But apparently he made a 5.5 hour.
I saw you did it 4.5 hours earlier. 4 hours this week, and I wasn't there.
Oh yeah, man. It was fun though. Patrick came back and joined us.
How did you do 4 hours?
Patrick joined, so we just all yelled at each other. It was fun. It was good times, man. I don't know. When you get me, Charles, and Patrick together, we can just keep talking. So it went till
I don't
Multi
need
had to turn
mods
it off.
yet, unless I get trolls in the chat. God
You
forbid.
should mod him though.
I
Deserves
can
modding.
actually. I can.
Come
I
on,
haven't
number one chatter of the day.
I haven't modded anybody. I was just hoping someone would show up and come defend his
Am I modded?
position.
I don't think I'm a
mods
mod
shit
either.
in my chat. I do what LG would do.
Nope, I'm not a mod. I'm nothing.
You make fun of me, I'll just troll you and then block you. I'm
Fair
good
enough.
like that. I know how to deal with people who are. It's like the guy that I was like, so you want to come in? I go, sure. I'm going to vet people's knowledge. But it's very. Oh, by the way, the X-Men '97 comic. A lot of comic shops now want it.
Now, fair enough. If they're making a revival, hell yeah. And if they're going to tie it into the MCU, I hope they do it well. But I'm digging what they've done so far. I really hope they don't screw it up.
But I mean, we could do
good times.
So I guess what you'll do we'll do an episode on the greatest sequel to the greatest like psychedelic fun. That was Rebel Moon.
Okay. I would love to. I will definitely be catching the rated R version, which I think is next week, and then part 2, man, Scargiver.
The problem is, look, the premise is he gets a battleship. Not only does he survive falling like 1,000 feet, entirely healed, and he's going to go, I'm going to get the Scargiver. They're doing a training montage of the people, and he gets another dreadnought, right? That literally just, instead of bombing the fucking village from orbit, he's going to go in there and take care of it himself. And I'm just like,
maybe the rated R one makes way more sense. I highly doubt it. But maybe.
You think this isn't the Justice League one where they actually do it?
But the Snyder cut makes it all make sense. I'll still be watching both of them, but yeah, man, let's have a very special episode on the Snyder version and Scargiver part 2, whatever it is.
I don't know. I could always at least pull Patrick in for it, but
yeah, for sure.
I think it more deserves episode by episode, and then you need to eventually catch up on Shogun.
I will. I guarantee you 2 weeks from now I'll have seen the whole thing.
Now, unironically, I don't know, Multi keeps you busy on watching bad movies.
True. I'm on bad movie overload,
but you need to watch. I don't know what would be easier for you to digest. I guess between that.
Oh, I didn't tell you. I did watch the Magical Society of whatever it's called, the American Society of Magical, whatever that one's called. I watched that one.
Yes.
Yeah. It also wasn't what I expected, and I saw Civil War. Not what I expected.
How did you like the ending of the film?
Which one? The Society or the Civil War? Yeah. It would probably be worth talking about it at some point, but I don't know. I feel like they're trying to have a message and then they just completely undercut it. There's a lot more crotch grabbing than I assumed would happen in that movie, but they do end it with you also need to grab my crotch back. This isn't just going to be me grabbing your crotch. So fair enough. If that's how you want to end the movie,
it gets like, it's so bad. Like, I don't want to explain the big thing. It turns out like there was a twist. There's another society in the universe.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's
a very special society of people who are there as supportive roles. I kind of dug it. I think it could have been executed well, but I don't think it was. But I think you could do those same societies and that same joke. Like if you just sorry, I know this is a weird tangent, but if you just done it as like a period piece, I think it would play so well as opposed to like today when you're doing it like in modern time. It's like, really? But I don't know.
You know what the trope is?
I don't hate it as much as I thought I would. I did expect a little bit more comedy.
But you did not think, Arch thought it was going to be a coming of age humor that could make jokes with semi-racial humor and make and come out as moralistic storytelling.
And I thought
No,
maybe, he just didn't appreciate the style of humor. They have David Allen Greer. So I did think it was funnier than I think he thought it was, than Arch found it, but
now he
it
actually
was
thought it
not
was
the
going to
greatest
be a
comedy.
racial healing movie.
It could be. There's a
could
way that
have
you could have
been.
played this. But I think, again, like setting it in modern times, I don't know. Yeah, it wasn't a good film. I think there is potential there for something really funny, and they just missed the mark on it. But yeah, I like a lot of the actors that are in it. But that's about the best I can say. It would be one of the lower films that I've seen this year. Definitely in the worst category.
Yeah,
for me.
I don't know. Maybe in the weekend. I gotta get with Renowned's gonna watch it. And I know Patrick says he should be free on the weekend, but
Well, hell yeah, man.
we'll see.
Once you're through it all, I'm sure I'll be through it. I would like to ask you some questions on it, I'm sure. But
I mean,
man,
I
we'll
can
be in
still
touch.
drag you through and talk. I will leave you, I guess, people.
Fair enough.
I might do short. I feel what day goes. So I don't have anything
This
planned.
was
fun. I have maybe, as I said, something on the weekend, I guess. Renowned is supposed to get back to me. Patrick says he will as well.
Well, hell yeah, man.
I may have to revisit some relatively old friends if they keep trying to do copy comics people and then call it in their own.
Well, nothing wrong with that. It does sound like that might be worth calling out.
And here's the other thing. I know the project you're excited for is new Romeo and Juliet.
Oh yeah, man. Who doesn't love Romeo and Juliet? Nothing beats the original, but fair enough. New version. Let's go for it. But hell yeah, man. I was dying to talk about X-Men, so I'm glad I finally got to.
It's a good episode. I mean,
I really like it, man. I think it's my GOAT right now. I think this defines X-Men to me.
It's not bad. I mean, it will be interesting. It will be interesting to see how they go. And I mean, I hate to say, leave on the meme. Henry Cavill did an article. He doesn't understand sex scenes and thinks they're overused.
The man hath spoken.
I mean, it's okay, I guess. But yes, I'll leave people be, and I might do a gaming stream tomorrow or over the weekend. But Renowned is supposed to be back, get back to me. So I will see people later. Oh, before I forget to, I may have to do an episode on Stellar Blade as well as the Outlaws. You've not heard anything about the what is that? Great. I have to get your opinion on something.
Okay.
And for record,
I've heard kind of the controversy with the whole making the characters attractive, but that's about it. I'm out of the loop.
So here you go, look, Pat. So this has revitalized the revitalized a lot of people. Now, your opinion? What does this look like to you?
Thinker. Okay. Yeah, so we were kind of going over this yesterday. Yesterday was Thursday. God, it feels like forever ago now. It's weird because like they showed some of the male models that were used too, They look almost exactly like the model. I don't know exactly why they would choose this. They changed the hair on all the characters to not be there. So I understand if you want to give her bangs and kind of a 70s look, but what is up with changing like the entire facial feature and giving her like the butt chin when you're using, I don't know, man.
No, they
And
gave
it's not the,
her. Look, this is not the best photo of her. She
no, and it's
has
not the
like
same angle
cheekbones.
too.
She has like cheekbones and such.
And it's not
Right?
the
She
best.
probably still has the. She probably still has a radar dish forehead.
Yeah, but the bangs are covering those on the thing. Like, I don't know. It's
And
just,
she has
I wouldn't be
kind
able to
of a
tell that that's the
cleft,
same
but
actor.
they give her a ball sack on the chin.
Yeah, and they really changed her nose too. Like the actual actress, it's kind of more of like a bulbous nose, where it's kind of more of like the pointy one, which that nose mixed with that chin almost makes it completely a different face. I don't know. I don't understand why they're making it, but fair enough. Maybe they had a certain type in mind for the character. Did they give any reasoning why they like made her less attractive?
I don't know. And everyone's like, people are like, that's not attractive. I'm like,
It's not, but maybe the character's not supposed to be. But I don't know.
someone's looking at it. It's like a man. So this was her, I guess, in the rig.
Which makes sense. Like if you notice, it kind of is covering up her chin, so they would have to put on some sort of chin. Apparently, they chose poorly there. But the nose too, it completely is different. So I don't know what they did to change this actress, but I wouldn't feel flattered
So,
if I were her and this is the end result.
well, may I say, it's not as offended, right? She just doesn't look like that. This is her from like another. I guess it's like
Yeah.
from a trailer. I guess.
And so Charles did point that out yesterday. That this isn't completed game art. This is what do they call it? Like the pre-release art. So it could also change. If you remember the whole Sonic thing, like they vastly did a character change prior to
Oh, is this
that
what he's
being
like?
released.
Is he gonna say this? Is he gonna say
I
this?
just we don't know for sure that this is what the finished game stuff is going to be like. This is obviously what they're releasing, but I don't know. It doesn't look great. I'm not sure exactly why they do that, but
Let's see. I bet you want to see by the actual in-game engine. I bet it looks like. I bet it's not much difference, and I bet it's gonna look a lot worse when it gets down to Ubisoft.
you'd think so with this being like a press release, you know,
Oh,
like you think you would do the nicer version of it.
did you hold on? I gotta find. I need to find the image I gave for like Romeo. Why I like here? Uh, hold on. Is this? Does this show this? No. Let me find it.
Well, I'm glad they finally renounced oppression. I mean, it's about time.
No. Let me find. Let me find what I did. Gave Romeo. Romeo, do you not have I showed Romeo the whole like what they did to Tila. Oh, you don't know about that, do you?
I'm not sure. I remember the whole Tifa thing, but which is the Tila thing? Now I'm blanking.
Tila. What they did. The changes in Tila, because I said for the person, I told Romeo, they just used the artwork for the old Masters of the Universe, and how they changed Tila over the years.
Oh, right. I totally forgot which character Tila was. Sorry, I was remembering the Tifa
Here you
controversy
go.
from like what
This
a
is
month
from
ago.
the same team that is developing. Sadly, I
Renounced
know
the
who this.
oppression.
I know who this is. This is Hamish Boyd. Hamish Bode, famous jackass who was on the Division CM team for years. We made fun of him. What does equality mean? Renouncing all forms of oppression. what does equality mean to me? Equality means all people, regardless of birth, deserve the same respect and opportunity. For some, they will be provided. Aspire above social, mental, or physical friction. Otherwise, we're all in the same boat. And this is apparently these are the people who worked at Warlords of New York. They don't realize the game they worked on. And we don't have to be along for this ride. Be kind, be trans rights and human rights. And this is one familiar with her as well. Not having to do others having to do other people's emotional labor.
So I don't know. That would be a tough one. Like, how could you ever not do that? Like, just the fact that somebody can say something to you and it will affect you, isn't that emotional labor?
I gotta see. I want to know where this came from because this deals with massive, right? For me, equality is providing cerebral opportunities to women where they can be a mother and a CEO at the same time, and no one can question how they manage all.
Nobody can question. So, in her utopia, what happens if you question whether that's the best idea to have somebody who has, like obligations to a living human as opposed to somebody who's going to be there like round the clock at the drop of a hat?
I love being on the same team, same game that this is happening in.
Well, I hope they make a good game. I hope they're spending more time worrying about the game than they are.
Dude,
Maybe that's why some of those quotes didn't make sense to me.
For the record, Hamish was very much a It's a Gundam pointed this out like people are wondering what's with so there's people talking about doing a 2-year boycott of Massive, and like people are trying to figure out why the weird arms are crossed. That didn't come to mind. Why the arms were crossed, Gray?
I don't know what the symbol means. I don't know.
No one knows what it means.
I thought maybe it was a Star Wars thing that I'm not familiar with, but I don't know.
I don't know, Aldi.
Is it a way to charge up your midichlorians or something? I don't know exactly what's going on.
Everyone's just, they're getting entirely ratioed. I'm going to tell you, though, Massive has never been good at PR. Like, if they're left to their own devices, they're bad. Obviously, people, though. But I don't know. Maybe tomorrow or the weekend, right? So I have, like...
Artists is saying that people are calling it the new Roman salute, apparently. So, interesting.
It's bad, but it's okay. I probably might be streaming later. I mean, like, I guessing that it's sad that these are people from Warlords of New York. I'm just like, I have just no. But no, I may have to pull in because I'll do something on Stellar Blade next week. I'm just waiting to see on release because what's funny is we didn't have an article. So, but tomorrow, maybe later today, I'll have one. So if people like it, do like and subscribe, and I'll be at least doing maybe like Diablo streaming. It's just I did not feel well. It's just a fun game to get through, at least for seasonal. And then maybe I may have to revisit eventually Tony ripping off other people's artwork.
I think you definitely should, man.
Apparently, someone who criticizes Eric July for using 3D assets in other people's art. Okay, so Tony decided to use. Okay, great. Are you familiar with the Royal Flush Gang? From
Not really. You kind of asked me about this earlier. I've seen the images, but yeah, I'm not too familiar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The images look familiar to me, but yeah, like I couldn't tell you like where the original came
but
from.
remember, you just changed a pair of pants. Oh, by the way,
I don't know. I don't want to be like I don't know. I don't like taking people's sides, but I would argue that Invincible is new and they are creating their own characters, even though a lot of them are basically like parodies of other characters or reimaginings in a way that you could put them in this world. I don't know. I'd say their characters are original, but I don't know. There's a lot of crossover. I guess parody and satire. I think you can still create an original character through there, but it doesn't seem like he's trying to even allude to the fact that these other characters exist. So I don't know. I'd like to see what you're going to present on this, man. It sounds interesting to me.
It's eventually like but yeah, it's rather in that. So I let people go. It's okay though. It's going to be great. But yeah, you take care, people, and I might be streaming later, so catch people later. Bye. See you. Bye. Okay.